What is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 401. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez, Carlos Romero, Adam Vale, Brett Murdoch, and Brian Manjoma. All right, Adam, you're back, man. With that deep voice and shit. The Rona, how did the Rona treat you, man? Okay. Oh shit. Is that what you actually sound like right now, or you put on a voice? Damn, bro. Fuck. Damn. Oh. We got a little bit of an issue. The volume was off for the rest of you guys. So we're going to do this intro again. And I'm going to save Adam for last. All right, let's do this. What is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 401. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going? Also, make sure you can actually see the whole episode. Unlike that faux pas that happened on YouTube.
All right, we'll talk about that later. Carlos Romero.
Yeah, man, YouTube on that bullshit. All those servers for nothing.
We got Brett Murdoch in the house.
I get some wicked deja vu.
Brian Manjoma.
What up?
And returning to us once again, and this is what he actually sounds like right now, Mr. Adam Vale.
Hi.
Yeah. He's not. Yeah, this is like, would you call it post-corona cough? Is that what
post-COVID cough?
No, it still works. PCC, post-corona.
Dude got his lungs fucked up, man.
Damn, man.
Yeah, I for a little bit after that, I still had all kinds of funky stuff happening, but I could get out of the bed and didn't have headaches for days. So,
yeah. Adam, hope you've been doing all right though. Besides that, if you've been maintaining,
like that's the whole. I got past all the other shit, but then it's like this cough, and it's like my throat doesn't hurt. It's just there. It's like a tickle. It's a constant tickle.
Mm-hmm.
And I try not to think about it. Like we did the tails, and I think I made it right toward the end where I tried to hold it in.
Yeah, yesterday we did I Am Negan, and Adam was telling us about all the stuff that he went through, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder if we're gonna get through the whole show. Yep, we did. Shout out to I Am Negan, by the way. We just recorded our last show, and I'm like, yo, Adam, you made it through the whole show without one cough, and like till the very end. So I was like, that's why I'm surprised today. Like it seems like it got a little bit bad. So
it's a hit or miss, and I don't know what causes it. It's like when you first get COVID, you start getting that every once in a while. You get tired for some weird reason. It just hits you really quick. Like, holy shit, I gotta lay down. And it's the same thing. And I notice with my throat, at least, it happens at night. At night, during the day, could be fine. I was outside with the kids playing basketball and stuff. And as soon as I got in and I took a shower, I just had like this issue with my throat, like coughing and stuff. And I just stay still. It's fucking weird.
I can tell you that thing does not act like any sort of real, sort of legit, any other virus. So they say that thing was genetically engineered. I believe it.
I believe it
too. It's not. This can't be. This is fucking something happened. Somebody made this shit.
Gives you a rolling a dice of symptoms.
So can we do a quick tally? Manny was the first one that got it, and then I think Brett.
Yeah, Brett got it.
Yep.
And then Adam, Brian. So me, Brian, Tony, and Chris haven't gotten it yet. From what I understand,
hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah, no, he said he didn't get it.
Yeah.
Man, so yeah, and it's crazy because 3 of us have gotten it, and it hit them pretty hard. Like
and I had shots and everything too, so I could just imagine. Well, imagine the motherfuckers died if you don't have it, if you don't get vaccinated. That really hits your lungs. And I had it was the last Friday and Saturday where I was like, this is it. If there's a way I go, this is how I go. because I couldn't breathe. Not because of my lungs, but because I had so much phlegm in the back of my throat and my nose was clogged that while I'm sleeping, almost like a Jimi Hendrix thing. Like I just started coughing in the dream. I felt I was coughing, and then I opened my mouth and I had all this phlegm just build up in my mouth, just gagging. I tipped over and then it just started falling out, and it was horrible. I was like, I don't believe this shit. I can't believe this is happening.
That's wild, man. But I'm glad you're here because we haven't heard from you in a while. We're like, yo, what's going on with Adam? Somebody emailed this man, you know.
I jumped in the chat when you guys were doing the episode the other, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this. I was like, but it was bad. I was like, I was really like with the constant cough, like a smoker cough, heavy smoker.
Damn, son.
You know, and I used to smoke and I didn't even have that cough, but I was like, I got it now.
He used to have like a once every blue moon cough. You just went. And then, and that's it.
And then that's why I just talked in the chat. I was like, well, I can't get on mic. And then you had all those heads already on there. So
yeah, it was all right, but still, we're glad you're here. You were missed, sir.
Thank you.
All right, man. Let's get into it. By the way, full disclosure, I was playing some Cyberpunk, so I didn't actually edit the questions. So if things are fucked up, blame it on yourselves.
Blame it on the rain.
What is this? 2020?
It's ironic how me and Brett independently started replaying this game again.
Well, I mean, it's in the zeitgeist right now. They got their new DLC, their new sexy DLC. So
yeah, that's true.
Do you have to?
But it was completely coincidental, though. Like
it kind of was.
I didn't know that there was the DLC or the anime coming. I was just like, I guess it's been long enough.
Is it one of those DLCs you can just jump into, or you have to beat the game to trigger it?
No,
that's a good question.
Because that was what was it? It was I think the Odyssey had that issue with Atlantis. And it was like, oh yeah, you get this expansion, but yet you had to beat the game, and people didn't beat it, and they're like, yo, I can't play this shit. Like, no, because even if you beat it, there's like missions that you had to do, and you had to replay the game to complete those missions, or else you couldn't play the DLC.
Yeah, I think this one is just it adds to whatever's in the game already. There's some new miniature story DLCs in there, side missions and things they added. And then you can get the guy's jacket and the gun that guy character has from the anime that's coming up.
Yeah, but there's like a full-on expansion, like we said, will not be available for last-gen consoles, only for new consoles. So maybe it will be a standalone. I'm not sure. I don't want to say one way or another. I gotta look it up. Anyway, so let's get into it. Like I said, these questions have been edited. So
we'll say this from the DLC, it looks like it takes place post-game.
Yeah. Yeah, because your character V is sworn as president. I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
Well, you just see some all I'll say is you see Burning Rubble and Johnny Silverhand, and there's some end of the game stuff. I'm pretty sure that's.
I'm still here. You can't get rid of me that easily.
You can't get rid of me,
dude.
All right, let's get into it, man. We got some questions. Kiss Shack leads us off here. For the past 2 gens. It seems that PlayStation starts slow and ends big, while Xbox starts big and ends the generation a little weak. Am I wrong to assume this? But even so, why does this happen in the first place?
I don't
think anybody started this generation.
No. It's very rare. Like, I would say the Xbox 360 is probably the last console to start big.
Was it big? Let's go into it because I launched in 2006.
It had all the big titles. That's when we got Gears and stuff.
Gears came out in 2007. though.
Yeah, no, 2006.
It was early 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it was like less
good.
A year.
PlayStation always had slow.
No,
starts,
the only one. Yeah, every single, with the exception of the first PlayStation. Every single following PlayStation generation has always had a slow start. They've never started really strong.
I think I know why. Honestly, it's PlayStation for most of the generations has been kind of a pain in the dick to develop for, and it takes them a good portion of the generation to figure out how to exploit all of the power from the system, and that's when you see those big famous games.
I would agree. Because the original PlayStation was actually the stupidest and easiest one to do. In fact, it used a lot of commonly known PC code. That's why it was easy to make games for it. The 2, they needed to essentially get together their development assisting portions. So in other words, it was a totally different programming system. And
Would you say they had to get their emotions together?
They had to get their emotions together. They had to get all that sort of stuff. And then, let's see, what was it? The 3 was also notoriously difficult to deal with.
That was the cell
processor. And then
4 was the easy one.
the 4 and the 5 are possibly the easiest ones to develop for.
Yeah,
including the Vita.
I went with the
x86. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that. By the way, I'm looking at Xbox's 360's launch games. I don't know about
Perfect Dark, Cameo, Viva Pinata, I think.
Viva Pinata and
I'll go down the line.
Dead Rising.
I'll go down the line here. AMP 3, Call of Duty 2, Condemned Criminal Origins, Every Party, FIFA 6, Gun, Cameo, Madden 06, NBA 2K6, NBA Live 2K6, Need for Speed Most Wanted, NHL 2K6, Perfect Dark Zero, King Kong, Project Gotham Racing 3, Quake 4, Ridge Racer 6, Tetris Grandmaster Ace, Tiger Woods PGA Tours 06, and Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. That's the entire lineup.
That's a decent launch.
That's a decent launch right there.
And the hidden gem, which was the Xbox Live service. That shit was crazy. That we actually had that full integration, not all downloaded to add on like with the Xbox. It was all integrated to talk to your buddies, to do group chats, to send.
And then
that was nuts.
Not far from launch was Dead Rising, and then a bunch of other ones. So,
yeah. So just to the question, I don't think there's a reason why this happens like that. It's just the way things fall, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just the way things fall. I think the one thing about Xbox, why it ended up having the thing it was, is because they literally got the jump on the next gen over what PlayStation 2 at the time. So they were the new hotness. They had all the new games, looking sexier than they did on the Xbox, which was already more powerful than the PlayStation 2. So there you go.
A year jump ahead because of delays, right?
It was a year's jump ahead. So they had a full runway for them.
Actually, that has affected the game industry ever since. PlayStation has made sure to never release outside of the Xbox's time window. Like, it's why we saw everybody kind of playing chicken up till this generation about when they were going to announce.
Yeah, they were looking at who's going to pull the trigger first. That's all that they were doing.
Yeah, and neither one is going to let another one get ahead because they saw what a difference that year head start made.
Oh yeah, but the funny thing about it is that like the Dreamcast had pretty much a year's worth of a start over the PlayStation 2. But man, once that PlayStation 2 hit,
PlayStation 2, they got so many developed and that's really, it shows what it's all about. When we talk about it, it's really just the games, man. PlayStation 2 had all the games. Everybody developed for PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Hold on real quick. Logic Wins said, I recall Mark Cerny saying something about the PS5 being the easiest to develop for out of all PlayStation. Yeah, because it's just a stronger PS4. Let's just be real here.
It pretty much is.
That's all it is now.
I mean, like a lot of these guys are like, oh, you hear like people like Naughty Dog, we're just getting used to using the PlayStation 5. Come on, man.
It's the same thing.
You already have it. You got it all. You literally got Last of Us to work on both consoles. Last of Us 2. It's not a big leap.
Yeah, it's not. As we've seen. All right. There's not really much more to say about that one. So
other than that solid state of voodoo that they do.
Yeah, that's a game changer. Yeah. Next question. Xbox had said in the recent filing with regulators that taking away Call of Duty from PlayStation wouldn't make sense because it wouldn't make sense with much money they're making by keeping it there. But now we have this story of COD going exclusive later on down the road after the contract with PlayStation expires. So which is it? Because I'm sick of this double speak that Xbox and Phil Spencer put out. And it's also ironic that Phil Spencer, the one that started the cross-play movement for Xbox and PlayStation with Fortnite, is going to take it away for PlayStation and Call of Duty.
We all knew this was going to happen.
But
go ahead.
No, it's just because I keep seeing this come up, and I follow a lot of Call of Duty, especially a lot of channels and a lot of the content. And then, like you said before, I get the email. We got 2 Call of Duties dropping next month. People keep forgetting there's 2 Call of Duties. There's Modern Warfare 2, and then there's the Warzone 2. That is a free to play. That's separate. That doesn't carry over from your regular Warzone. You have to start all new. 2 games. So when Uncle Phil keeps talking about, oh yeah, we're going to stick with the honor and there'll always be a Call of Duty, I'm sure there will be. It'll probably still be that free to play if it's still relevant in another year or 2. It'll be there. But what's to say that they don't make another series? Because they have Modern Warfare, they have the Black Ops series, they have which one, the Cold War, the little third party one that they do. They also have zombies that they occasionally attach onto things, and there was talks of making that a separate thing. So I believe there's always going to be one. Just like you got Minecraft that went over there, and Minecraft Dungeons that also went to PlayStation. If it was just to stick with one, then they wouldn't have had Minecraft Dungeons, but they got it. So I think it's that everybody wants, like, in final writing, something to say for life. For life, we're going to have that. They're never going to do. No one does that. Mm-hmm. They just can't do that. They can't see that far. They say, listen, we're just like any business. We're going to stick with the agreement. This is the contract, X amount of years, no problems.
And then they'll work on whatever. And once the contract is up, or close to being over, that's when they start to renegotiate. Yep. That's the way it always is.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Money talks. If somebody then says, hey, listen, we want to pay, they go based off of sales and say, that Modern Warfare series or the Black Ops one, those are the big money makers. You got like look right now, we just had the most recent one that came out for Call of Duty, and it sucked compared to their standards for sales. And they maybe somebody says, we don't really care about that franchise. We don't care about that World War II going back to that. We only want the Modern Warfare ones. How much for a new multi-year deal for that? Money talks. They'll do it. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, you guys know how to boil a frog, right? You've heard that?
Yeah. You do it slowly. Yeah.
You got to put them in cold and then turn the water up slowly, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what they're doing with the fan base. They can't just cut them off and expect them all to migrate to a new platform. Mm-hmm. But they can kind of like slowly taper them off and eventually reach exclusivity. And that's what they're doing. That's why they're telling you for now, like, oh, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
don't get upset. But eventually you'll be on Xbox. But don't worry about it right now.
Yeah, the thing about it is it'll be like just like those adverts, right? They're essentially, they always say like either one of the companies. He says Xbox or PlayStation, right? And then all the regular people out there are like, man, I need a PlayStation because Xbox doesn't seem to have it, even though in the commercials they have the marketing deal, so they're obviously the one that they show first. So I think it's going to be the same sort of situation. I think that's also what that guy in Brazil was talking about. Essentially, that the knowledge that Xbox or Microsoft owning the Call of Duty series will automatically make people think that, oh, hey, wait a minute, it's not going to be on a PlayStation anymore.
Yeah, and they can also advertise like Call of Duty coming to Xbox, also PlayStation.
Sure. Yeah. All they have to do is say Call of Duty coming to Game Pass, and that's it. I mean, if you have both, or if you just have the computer, it's like I want to play with my buddies, and it's cross-platform play. Like, I'll spend $15 just for the month. I'll jump on just for the month. So even if they just join for that month, because some areas don't even offer the dollar deal anymore. Mm-hmm. But if they jump into that, that's $15 from who knows how many people. And you know how people don't like to cancel shit or they forget. There's people with tons of gym memberships and shit. Can't believe they're still doing it. Shit, I still got Audible and I keep forgetting to cancel that shit. So it's the same thing. And it rolls over. And then we're like, well, then they think about it, and it's enticing. It's if they're all already there and you didn't have to shell out $70 up front.
Yeah. So, to be honest, it's like, just to answer the question, I don't think you're going to get a general solid yes or no answer until the contract is up, which they've revealed is only about 3 more years.
Yeah, think about it like this, right? When Microsoft was acquiring Bethesda, they're very wishy-washy with their answers, right? As soon as the deal went through, they're like, yep, exclusives.
Yeah,
That's how it works, man.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you off because they don't want they want to control the public perception of what the situation is.
Yeah.
So they're going to give you an open answer. They're not going to give you a solid yes or no until all of the ducks are in a row, and that's when they pull the trigger.
What I wonder, and I know it's not going to happen, but I think it'd be fun because we're seeing this back and forth from these two higher ups. If the next one comes up, if Phil says, all right, how about this? We'll give you something in writing if you give us a little something. Like if you give us Spider-Man. If you can share Spider-Man with us, then we'll guarantee a long-term deal. We know it'll never happen, but it would be funny.
They could try. I mean, theoretically, they could come up with a deal to bring over a sought-after title, which would be very interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a day one release. That
Yeah.
make no sense. But if they say, hey, 6 months after the release of Spider-Man on your, then it comes over to us.
Yeah, like what if they made a deal where it was like, okay, so when the PC release happens,
we get
it on Xbox as well.
That'd be cool. See, make deals.
And we get to put it on Game Pass.
Or we put it on. Or the other thing could be like, no. You can sell your when your PC version comes out. Okay, that's great. There will not be a physical edition of this game. There will only be a version of it on Game Pass.
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So you gotta work out deals if they really care about the people. If both companies they said, "Oh, we're all about the gamers," well, this is it. This is start shaking hands like you did on stage with everybody doing that 3 handshake.
Yeah.
There you go. Do it again. It's like make this happen. It's a win-win for everybody. Everybody's gonna get some money. Everybody works out some kind of arrangement here.
It's funny that all the people that shook hands on that, with the exception of Phil Spencer, all the people that shook hands on that stage, gone.
Yeah, Sean Layden and Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Both gone. Yep. So, I'm sure
that's what you get for shaking hands. You toe the company line.
I'm sure Jim Ryan is like, I'm not gonna shake his hand, that bastard.
The higher ups of those companies didn't know they were going to shake hands and fired them after. We didn't approve this.
Yeah. All right.
We do not approve this. This is not our messaging.
Quit fraternizing.
All right. We got mob hits in the house next. With the recent comments coming from Jim Ryan, is Jim Ryan and Sony generating negative media to smear the Activision Blizzard acquisition? We talked. That was the main topic. Actually, it was supposed to be the main topic, but then we had hip hop and torrents.
Yeah,
I guess we could talk about it now. We had a really good conversation after the fact.
We actually, it's too bad we didn't record that after show because we literally talked about that featured topic.
We had a show after we got off just because we didn't get out of our system when torrents and hip hop were here.
Yeah. Anyway, for those uninitiated, Jim Ryan was saying that the Xbox's offer to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 3 more years after the current deal expires, which is also about 3 years. Jim Ryan said the deal was inadequate, and obviously that sent the fanboys into a tizzy. So I guess we could try to replicate what we talked about, after the show.
Wait. Inadequate, like he didn't like the offer.
Yeah, he didn't like the offer. He.
So then you got to tell the people. Let the people know what that offer was.
The offer was 3 years.
It's not real. I thought it was dumping them. They're not dumping me.
Oh.
Yeah. The offer was for 3 more years.
Oh.
And Jim Ryan said, "Nope, that's not adequate."
Well, I mean, when someone owns something? I don't know what else you say. It was like, no, then all right, then you get nothing. Do you take 3 years? I don't know.
He wants nothing though. Like that's at least my point on the whole thing. Like, look, Jim Ryan knows this shit is going exclusive, so he can either save face and be like, "We didn't want it. It doesn't fit our catalog of games we see for the future of our gamers," and just spin some bullshit PR. But at the base of it, it's one of those like, you can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah, well, he's basically saying that Call of Duty has been on PlayStation for almost 20 years, and it would be a bad thing if the series is just pulled from the platform. That's what he's basically saying. So he's saying 3 years is not enough.
Yeah, he's making the other guy. He's making everyone else seem like the bad guy.
Yeah, that's
in the
exactly what he's
situation.
doing. But he comes off as petty,
It comes off as petty, and then it also solidifies exactly what that that one lawyer
Yeah,
from
that lawyer.
Brazil was saying. Essentially that they're that Call of Duty's the cornerstone, and them owning Microsoft owning the franchise is bad for the game industry. All that stuff that came out. Essentially, it sounds like that's what the company is thinking about this whole situation.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. And then the other part that I found kind of unprofessional was because Phil Spencer talked about the deal a week ago with The Verge. So Jim Ryan was like, "Oh, he talked about it. I'm going to talk about it too." It's like you could keep all that behind the scenes.
This is not tit for tat. And to be honest, if you want to come out as the baby face in this situation, you'd be like you give the higher answer. Like he looked like he just took that shit personally, which is not the way a CEO should be acting.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I remember. What I wanted to point out, last time, I think people who are personalities, they fucking know they have a following. Brigading somebody on Twitter is a thing. Sending your followers after people is totally a fucking thing. To be fair,
Jim Ryan does not have a Twitter account.
It's same concept though.
Yeah, just to
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's a Twitter. I'm saying a Twitter account is a good example of how people who know they have a following can weaponize that following and turn it on other people. I think Jim Ryan is managing expectations and kind of evangelizing the fanboys to go talk shit all over the internet.
I'm just really surprised.
I don't think knowing as much how much Jim Ryan seems to care about the fan base of Sony.
I don't think he
PlayStation.
had that in mind.
I don't think he gives a flying fuck about who's doing what.
Well, he doesn't care
I think it's
an asset.
I think it's a situation that he got turned down and he didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think. He feels slighted.
He feels slighted. I think that's what the situation really is. Because number one, if any of those other Sony executives, like the previous regime, if any of that shit came out, right, they would have been like, yes, we confirmed that the current contract is this, but we look forward to further negotiations with Microsoft over the Call of Duty
that's what
franchise.
They would have said, yeah.
That is an original. That is an OG PlayStation regime comment. This is like, well, he said he talked about it first, so I'm going to talk about it now.
Yeah, when you lose the argument, you start turning towards the crowd, and that's what this is.
So, I don't think he's turning.
I don't think he's doing that.
So here's the question.
Yeah,
I'm just going to ask this to Tony, because Tony is the big.
We'll get a room.
There we go. Because so we see how he's reacting, Jim Ryan, with this whole thing about the Call of Duty, and we've always talked about it, the shooter man, the bro gamer, and all that stuff. PlayStation is known for other things. You got the single player, those type of stories. It's not so much of that. At least that's how we see it. So on your feed, with you said majority of people follow you are PlayStation fans, are they upset or worried about it, or do they not give a shit?
No, they're fucking pissed. They're pissed.
Oh, yeah,
so they do. Now, are they Call of Duty players though?
They are. No. Here's the thing. Call of Duty, like, you may not think of it as a PlayStation game because it's not single player or whatever, but most of the players who play Call of Duty are on PlayStation. You know that, right? That's just the way it is, because remember, the hardcore PlayStation people, yes, they are into a certain specific kind of game, but general audiences who are on PlayStation, they want that Call of Duty fix,
Yeah.
And there's also the fact that some of the people that I follow that follow me are mad just because they've lost something.
It's just a loss of.
But in general, I don't even think regular people even know this is going on. Regular gamers.
I think it's a regular. It's a gamer thing. They're the ones that are pissed about it because it's all the console war BS that's getting rattled around. But I think that like the general audience is like, all right, Call of Duty's on Xbox now. This was what it looks like. All right, I'm buying a new Xbox.
Remember what happened in 2011 with the PlayStation outage for 3 weeks. PlayStation was out. What did people do? The hardcore Call of Duty guys, they got an Xbox. And I think Sony is worried about that. And I think this may be off a little bit, but apparently Call of Duty generates like $1 billion for PlayStation, each year.
And
So
2019.
so when that's gone, that's it.
Well,
you
I
know?
also think that the other thing about it is that because it became the zeitgeist console, because
Yeah.
every generation needs a zeitgeist console.
Yeah, you're right. Because Call of Duty was the biggest on 360 when that was the console, right? And we're talking more specifically America here, And then when PlayStation became the biggest console, Call of Duty had the exclusivity deal with them, Now things are gonna shift because Microsoft bought the fucking company,
Yeah, I think a lot of this chit chatter going on is something the casual gamer doesn't know
the casual gamer
anything
doesn't
about.
No.
No.
So generally, I don't know shit about this. Anyways, what's it called? This whole thing with Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan, it's politics. They're doing politics. They're doing political theater in the public square. And I said this would happen. I said these companies are not going to stay all kumbaya with each other. They one of them has a lot of leverage, the other one doesn't. One of them is going to start fucking screaming. And then what happened? Jim Ryan just came out with this whole well Phil Spencer doesn't want to give us this whole more than 3 years thing. And then Phil Spencer is doing the opposite, because what Microsoft wants to do is they want to have the exclusivity of this game without actually pulling the rug out of everyone's asses.
Yeah.
And that's what they want to do. They want Call of Duty to be exclusive to Xbox Game Pass, so Xbox Game Pass can get all of those subscriptions. But they can't do it right now because they're generating so much money from the PlayStation platform. And if they keep providing this, let's say a 7 or 10 year window, they lose all of their leverage, at least most of the leverage for a long time. And these 3-year windows, it can become 2-year windows, it can become 1-year windows, until whenever they can ever phase out with, when they get all the exclusive DLC, some releases earlier on Game Pass or whatever. People slowly start migrating from PlayStation to Xbox, or that's what they want them to do. And then when you get in time when Xbox is severely over, has a grip over this fan base, then they can pull the rug and say, hey, you know what, next year contract's up, this game is exclusive only to Game Pass, PC and Xbox.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. These are the rumblings. These are what's gonna start the war, and it's permeating to the fanboy war, and that's exactly why Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan are doing what they're doing. Jim Ryan is not like you guys are mentioning, doesn't have a Twitter. He's not that public of a persona, even though he's the head of a fucking gaming company. But he's not that public. So whenever he goes into the public square, he wants to say something. And what he's doing right now is he's stirring up the fanboys and the fan base and saying, hey, you know what? Phil Spencer wants to take Call of Duty away from you. And then it's a back and forth.
Yeah. Blitz says, I reckon Phil is waiting to see what kind of impact Call of Duty on Game Pass has on the player base. If Xbox becomes the majority, then he'll pull PlayStation. Yeah, that's important to keep in mind, because when these games are still going to be coming out for PlayStation, they're also going to be on Xbox. But here's the kicker, right? They're going to be $60, $70 on PlayStation, whereas on Game Pass, they're just on Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be, I think that's going to be a little bit of a litmus test. Like, okay, let's see what happens here, Very interesting. I think their ultimate goal is to get people on Game Pass, and having Call of Duty as one of those weapons, We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Let's move on here. Another question from Mr. Mob Hits. Right. Did Ubisoft delay the Prince of Persia remaster because Assassin's Creed Mirage looked too similar to it? Who knows, man? Who knows?
They stopped talking about that game.
Yeah. Prince of Persia is very magic-based. Mirage is a real game, so no, but no, that's pure speculation. Nobody knows. Yeah.
And
go ahead, Carlos.
Go ahead, Adam. Oh, all right. Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with each other. Assassin's Creed is an established franchise that essentially almost comes out every year at this point, and there's no way that they co-develop two titles that would look anywhere near similar. So no, I don't think this has anything to do with that.
Yeah, kind of interesting about Call of Duty. Assassin's Creed, it was like Call of Duty in the fact that it actually did come out every year for a while. You know, people were like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And then they finally stopped that, and then we got Origins, and then they kind of release them every other year. But now it seems like we're going to go back to that cadence again because what we know is this year we're going to get yet another Valhalla expansion, the final one. It seems like next year we're going to get in 2023 we're going to get Mirage. 2024 we're gonna get, I believe it's Hex, or either Hex or Red, one of them. And then you know what I'm saying? Like they have 4 Assassin's Creed games coming, basically.
But what is it? One is Netflix, another one is a mobile. A lot of mobile. That upset me. So I watched that shit, and I was like, damn, I hate you guys. I hate you so much. You know, I was so mad, especially with the Division. It's like everything. It's a mobile. I hate you.
Yes, a lot of mobile coming from Ubisoft.
This.
I don't know. Well, you know, that's the thing. A lot of, in general, most games, revenue comes from mobile games. That's why. You know, a lot of people don't consider that.
I mean, unless they fill it with microtransactions. We know what happened with Diablo. They filled it with a bunch of shit. Yeah, it made the buco bucks. But is that what they're going to do with these games? Sell you a bunch of guns?
Yeah, that's what they do. By the way, speaking of Mirage, I saw something that disturbed me. Apparently, the game has a adults-only rating, right? That's not what disturbs me. The reason why it disturbs me, it says for gambling. They're gonna load this shit up with loot boxes. You know?
See.
Adults only rating.
Remember, adults only really used to be for porno and shit like that. You know?
Yeah,
no,
well,
this is for gambling. You know?
Yeah, well, it's probably they probably do have some sort of gambling aspect in there.
Oh, that's bad. That it sucks because this was supposed to be a smaller scale game, $50. I'm like, okay, let's go. But you know,
the thing about it is that also when you also have that adult rating, you're actually not that full on adult rating. You're actually not allowed to be sold in certain situations.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be sold in stores. But ironically, that kind of doesn't matter anymore.
Because you just put it online, right?
Yeah, because people don't, most games are bought digitally now. You know, so that's.
I wouldn't say most. I would say a lot, but not most.
No, it's actually 80% of games are bought digitally now. You know, maybe probably more now. I'm talking about stats from 2 years ago. Probably even more now. Most people do not buy games physically anymore. That's just not the way it is. You know, so the AO rating kind of doesn't matter because no one's selling games in stores anymore like the way they used to.
Funny thing is that little Jim, he can still buy that now if he doesn't have his age rating.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It doesn't. They don't have that.
I gotta look at. I gotta look at the current stats because it was 2 years ago. 80% of games bought were digital. It probably went up more than that now. You know, which I know you don't like that. You know, Mr. Physical Man.
Man, I like going to a store.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yo, can you guys hear Adam? Or you guys
I can
hear Adam.
I can hear him.
Right.
Well, we're talking.
It's all.
Yeah. All right, man.
We gotta get him to say. We gotta get him to say, "Bring his bones in one bag and his organs in another." Okay.
What's up, Adam? Would you wanted to say something?
It was just funny because recently, it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday's a blur. I think it was yesterday. My son was playing on his Xbox with the kids downstairs playing Battlefield, and he kept running up. He's like, "I need you to sign in." I'm like, "For what?" "I'm playing the Star Wars game." It's like, "So play it." It says it needs you for multiplayer. And I couldn't understand that, and I guess because you could buy stuff or whatever, but it needed me to sign in so he can play multiplayer. So it'll let him play under the child's account, but in order to play online, even though I have chat disabled, it needed me to sign in or to switch his settings.
Yeah, because they can't guarantee that the people that your children are playing with are going to be,
Well, that's what I thought. But I have that setting off of chat even on my account, where I don't talk to randos. I don't hear them either because I just don't want to hear people's talking. So I just found it odd because it didn't require me to turn it on for the multiplayer. You know what I mean? So I signed in with my account, and it was pretty much the same settings as what he had, because I have that same thing disabled for random chats and messaging. So I just because it's still shooting. Is my argument is that you're still in the regular game. You're still shooting and killing. So what's the difference if you're doing it online and if I have that option disabled? I don't know. I guess they just noticed that it was a kid's account and it was like, we still want it.
Yeah, they'll throw a red flag on that.
Yeah, they threw a flag. It was weird.
In general, I think it's because they're not. It's not the Wild West anymore. So so they're probably going to be a lot more mindful about warning you to, to get to
like
to
shit. I have it so hard on mine that if let's say we're on the Xbox and we're chatting and you invite a friend who is not a friend of mine, I won't hear him in the chat and he won't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
He'll hear me, but he won't. And I would have to send him a friend invite and do that whole thing. So it's cool that you can put all those security measures and stuff for communication.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last, and I did that because of fucking FIFA. I was tired of hearing these motherfuckers playing reggaeton the whole time I'm playing, and then cursing at me and shit when I score a goal. And then they would send me nasty messages, like they would stop playing during halftime, and then I get a nasty message. It even happened on the PlayStation, and I stopped. I was like, no, I got to disable all that shit.
That's crazy. All right, moving on here. Dumeke, who's also joining us in the chat as Blitz. If gaming culture hadn't become the toxic cesspool it is today thanks to social media, do you think gaming would be as big as it currently is? Now, here's the thing. Going back to what we currently said, you got to understand that what you see on Twitter is like a very, very small percent. The majority of people who buy games have no idea any of this toxic shit is going on. So it's not even a blip in the radar, dude. Mm-hmm. At all. This toxic stuff you see on Twitter, that is literally. Here's the thing. Going back a little bit, and I found this very interesting. What do you think the percentage of people on Earth, the totality of human beings, what do you think the percent of people who are on Twitter are out of the entire human population? What do you give me a number? What percentage do you think it is?
Less than a percent.
No, it's more than 1%.
Okay,
well, does it even
answer the question? Answer the question.
Less than 1%.
No,
less than 1%.
It's more. It's more.
Less than 1%.
It's more.
It's more.
5%.
That was my guess.
Let's say
5%.
Manny was the closest. 6%.
2.5.
6%.
Yeah, I'm on the stage for The Price is Right.
So this is the totality of humanity. Now imagine just what that percentage is for gamers. It's probably like what Carlos said, like less than 1%. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about all people?
Yeah, the human. Yeah. I said the human race.
The human race. You also
got now 8 billion motherfuckers.
You also got to realize that it's also like not every country can access Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's mostly a Western. It's mostly a Western sort of thing with a couple of Asian countries.
Yeah, exactly. But the point
because a lot of those countries have their own social media.
They use WhatsApp and stuff.
I think you guys are looking at it wrong because, like you're saying, like with the toxic cesspool that gaming has become. Like, dude, you never were on the original.
Brett, you cut off.
So you weren't in original Xbox chat. You weren't in the old Warcraft days Baron chat. Like shit has not gotten more toxic. Trust me.
No, it was just about the same. Yeah, it was just about the same. Little kids, cursing at you. Because they can't because their parents aren't watching them.
Yeah, edgelords just saying fucked up stuff. Like there's always been a place for that. Twitter is just the most current.
Yeah, exactly. So the gaming will be just as big because that the toxic fanboy shit, very small blip on the radar, man.
And that's I always roll my eyes every time I see the eventual tweet from anyone. Could be a friend, could be some random person I've met. This always fucking happens. They always tweet, man, humanity is gone to shit, and they quote tweet something from someone that someone tweeted, and I'm like, that this is only like Tony mentioned, less than 6% of people on Earth use Twitter, and you only understand the people that speak English, and you only follow us. The web only reaches a certain reach of people within that people who speak English. So it's like, you're just throwing a pebble in the ocean when it comes to trying to get a grasp of what people are.
To bring this home, right? I went to dinner with a couple of Sony people, right? And I was just telling them about some of the stuff I see on Twitter. These are Sony people. They've never heard the term Sony pony. Never heard it. Mm-hmm. It goes to show you it's only a select few people have heard this stuff.
Yeah, there's only a select people. And then the other thing is that why are they paying attention to any of that?
They don't.
What do they see? What are they seeing? Okay, they see something is getting a reaction. Oh, great, good, yay. People love The Last of Us. Great, yay. That's all they're looking at. They're not looking any deeper than that shit.
Yeah. So
do
you
think that they look at all the? Do you think they look at all the replies on these things, or all the other bullshit that happens? No, they don't.
Yeah. So if Sony employees have never heard of the term Sony pony, that lets you know something.
Neil Druckmann is counting the zeros in his bank account right now, and his next dinner with Pedro Pascal.
Can I also say, there's only so much intellect you can jam into 160 characters. I feel like there's kind
now,
of
isn't it, Carlos?
Yeah, it's a lot more now.
280 or 240, yeah, something around there.
I still feel like the very model of Twitter doesn't allow for deep discourse. It's only surface level shit. So it is the word. Like, first of all, like you said, it's only so much of humanity. But even then, it's only a portion of the way humanity thinks. People actually think things through sometimes, but that's not going to be expressed on Twitter.
Yeah.
Very well. Wikipedia and Twitter are not the same goddamn thing. One is kind of facts. One is surface level opinion of the zeitgeist. So. You can only put so much stock. Yeah, hot takes, exactly.
All hot takes. And it's all black and white, too, There's no room for subtlety.
There's no time for nuance.
No, there's absolutely none,
No, you got to, in other words, you got to shoot. That's why you work so well, Tony, because you shoot for the point.
Tony didn't even say anything. Tony has, mastered the art of, minimalism. It's like Twitter judo. He just uses the force of his opponents against them.
Well, the thing about Tony in general is that he is a very to the point sort of person.
I'm a perfect Twitter personality.
He will always it will be the shortest response. It'll be the most to the point response. That's
okay, Tony. Yeah. I have a new challenge for you because I know that very minimal things have started fights. Can you start a Twitter fight using only punctuation?
I could try. Again, I don't know how much I could pair it up. I literally just tweeted out Xbox. That's it. Xbox. Well, 4 letters, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. Can you get people hating on a comment that doesn't actually say anything?
That'll be a challenge for sure. Oh my god, people are Twitter. But anyway, Twitter.
It could be a response to something. You could put an exclamation point as a response to something.
Yeah, I could. It's like,
what are you trying to say, Tony?
Oh, dude, I can see it already. Fuck's that supposed to mean?
Kisha goes, Tony should tweet one-word tweets every day to see the reaction. I do that, and you see the chaos that ensues.
That's the challenge. That's why I'm like,
which one gets the most
reaction? Just a Metal Gear,
Yeah, which one gets the most? Which one gets the most
less than a
crazy
word?
People?
A letter?
You saying PlayStation or you saying Xbox?
Xbox, because the PlayStation guys are the ones that get mad.
Oh, okay.
But again,
you can't say anything shorter than Xbox, can you?
That's what I'm saying. That's 4 letters, and I know 2 letters are reused. But it's like, so technically 3 letters if you think about it. Yeah. Social media's trash. All right, let's move on. By the way, guys.
And that fits. See him saying that fits as perfectly as a tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Social media is trash.
You post you post a picture of your scrambled eggs, and some motherfucker's gonna come in and ruin your day.
Yeah, I was talking to a colleague about that. He was like, "Oh, I tweeted this one thing, but nobody said anything." I'm like, "This is how you should have worded it," and it was a lot shorter and punchier. He's like, "Yeah, that probably would have worked better." I was like, I'll tweet for you, man.
Tony gets it.
Run your tweets through me.
Exactly. Okay. By the way, a couple of you guys asked 3 questions. I will allow it tonight because we didn't get a lot in general. Next up, we got another one from Tumeke. Okay. What I mean? Oh, hold on. Oh, was this the second part? I don't think I divided this one up.
Oh,
What he meant was the competition drives innovation of all the companies. Their fans got on, were nice to each other, and celebrated gaming as an actual community. Will we have the same focus and improvement on tech? Again, all that stuff is just very minimal. It doesn't impact anything, you know?
Well, oh, hold on. No, there was a time when things were advancing so fast that your neck would break if you tried to keep up. Like, and that was a good time. Everything was twice as powerful as the previous system. Like, we've kind of hit a plateau, and fuck, I'll be honest, the last 10, 15 years when you think about it, like, yes, PlayStation 5 is better than PlayStation 4, but less so than PlayStation 4 was better than PlayStation 3, and that's less so than PlayStation 2 was better. You know what I'm saying? Or 3 was better than 2. Like, each generation, the jump gets smaller. So there was a time when, like, oh man, 8-bit to 16-bit to 32-bit, like, holy shit, it was a world of difference, remember?
Yeah.
Now you're just like, I mean, I guess it looks a little better. It's not choking up and kind of actually running the game it's supposed to. So cool. But I mean, when was the last time you were blown away by a technological advancement?
Yeah, the last thing that I saw that was impressive, and if you really think about it, it's not super impressive, but it still impressed me, was the Unreal 5 demo. That was the last thing. But it wasn't like, oh my god, I've never seen anything before. It was what I've seen before, just cool, you know?
Well, and even that.
But you're right.
Generally
speaking, no.
The time before that. What was the time before that? How long before that?
HD graphics. That was it. That was
dude. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we just kind of went like a decade. We're like, guess it's the same.
Yeah,
we were kids, man. That shit was moving.
Yeah, so I don't think, if the fanboys were all singing Kumbaya, we'd have better technology. Again, all that shit on Twitter, social media, it doesn't affect anything, man. I
mean, the only thing I can say that it really does do is that it can that sort of reaction can affect gamer reception of certain things.
Yeah.
I mean, we go down the line of a certain game called The Order of 1886, which I feel like when that leak happened of supposedly of somebody playing the game and how long it supposedly took to play it, that seriously affected the zeitgeist perception of that game.
I also realized,
and then we got into the conversation about game length and price.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Hold on, real quick. I just kind of wanted to say, I think a portion of it was nothing draws a crowd together than an opposing outside force. And you got to remember, nerds weren't always cool or accepted. We used to catch it from all sides, and that'll kind of unify people, man. So it wasn't so much that we were all saying kumbaya, it's that we're all kind of
we're all united because everybody's united because there was that one entity that was always the one that was saying, games are stupid, games are childish, games are for nerds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But now the situation is sort of like everybody's this. Now it's okay. Now it's what is it? Nerd chic, right?
Yeah. Now the tribes have swollen and there's infighting.
But I think that the problem that's happening now is the people that were already sitting in the seats are being told to get up when the new crowd comes in, as opposed to where it used to be. If you came into the room, you were like, everybody's saying, hey, welcome, have a seat. Now it's like they walk in the room, they're like, get the fuck out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What is up with companies saying we don't want, they seem like they're actively kicking their fans out, and I get that they're directing that towards like, you're the toxic ones and we don't like you and blah 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 blah, but like it feels like they're throwing a lot of baby out with bathwater. I'm not saying that there's not toxic racist people, but like
to be honest, I feel like a lot of it is because the new folks that are coming in are not they're the general audience. The general audience is not, they don't need the hardcore anymore to keep these niche franchises afloat anymore. Now that you have the general audiences coming along, that's where the money is. So obviously you have that sort of split. So you have the guys that will support this thing. Where this is you grew up. We grew up with this. We blah blah blah. We did this. The champions. And now it's like, okay, now we don't need you guys. So get the fuck out. We got all these shiny new people coming in.
Well, here's the thing that baffles me about it, and I can dig into this shit. I won't too much on it, but like you're playing D&D, right? You're like, I love D&D, and then people come in, they're like, hey, the races in that are racist, and you're like, the fuck are you talking about? They're imaginary things. They're like, no, because the orcs represent like the African American community, and you're like, whoa, that feels really inappropriate. And they're like, yeah, so having orcs makes that super racist. Meanwhile, you're sitting here like, I didn't ever make that connection. I think that's just a you thing. That's a super fucked up thing to assume.
Well,
but somehow I'm getting kicked out of the club now. Like, it makes no goddamn sense.
I think the thing about it is like when things move out of the niche and into the general space, a lot of these things that were just like, whatever. We never thought about it because we were just like playing orcs and monsters and vampires and stuff, whatever. But I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to a lot of people in the general audience, they need to be told that these things are everything's nice and shiny, everything's nice and clean. So that's what a lot of this is. It's just essentially cleaning up the game board, trying to get rid of any of the sharp edges that people might feel like they get hurt on.
It's some Emperor's New Clothes bullshit.
That's why you see situations where they have to specifically say, like to a person like, oh, hey, you can have a transgender character. Well, obviously, it's an RPG. You can make any character that you want, but they have to write this sort of specific sort of rhetoric for people to say, okay, you can have a gay character, you can have a LGBTQ character, you can have any sort of character, and they have to specifically write it there so that people that are coming in know that you can do this. Obviously, everybody knew that they could have this. You could play any sort of character. You could be a woman, anything. You can be anything you want in one of those RPGs.
Yeah, well, inclusion, that's always great, but it's when they start coming in and taking things away with really fucked up assumptions that it honestly, personally gets to me. Like, we can't do this because gamers assume, blah, blah, blah about this character, and you're like...
I think it's a thing that comes with the general audiences. I think it's just something that, again, it's like getting rid of a Wolverine cigar. It's like getting it's like taking away the weapons from the Ninja Turtles in Europe. It's rounding out the edges so for general audiences of whatever culture or whatever. That's all it really is.
No, I could say that this kind of shit about Lord of the Rings. Like, nobody said there aren't black elves, right? There are definitely black elves. They're probably just not weirdly interspersed amongst the rest of the elves. They probably have, like, clans, and each of the clans looks a little different. There's sun elves, and they're a little bit more golden. There's moon elves, they're a little bit more pale. There's, other elves are a little bit more dark. And they each have a slightly different culture, and they celebrate their differences. But apparently, we can't do that kind of shit, and we just need to shotgun sprinkle like the diversity of New York City into every fantasy small town, because that makes sense.
Wait, what was the question?
I don't even know anymore.
we just went down a rabbit hole. But
I had to bitch for it. I pulled out and dusted off my soapbox there for a minute. My apologies.
But it's just the way the world sort of just changes. I would say every single generation prior to us has had to go through the lightning of the previous generation. I would say we grew up in the 80s when everything they're literally making of friggin' toys for rated R action movies.
I had Predator and Alien figures when I was like 6.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, if you think about it, even nowadays, it's like, wait, what? There was a RoboCop and a Rambo toy?
Yeah. No, even now I think about it, I was like, I used to play Alien vs. Predators when I was like 6.
Yeah,
like, so holy shit! When did I see that movie the first time?
For each generation, and I'm sure the previous generation was just like, well, the previous generation is like, what do you call that?
The previous generation, they're like, I watched a man die in the street when I was 9.
They were living the hard life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get back on track here. The next question here, also from Tumeke, is the current focus on tech, 4K, 60 FPS, ray tracing, bad for gaming? Are we seeing more cookie cutter games because making them is expensive? Is there so much expectation from gamers that games need to hit these high specs or be labeled as shit? Or is there something else you think is happening? Who is more to blame, fanboys or the media slash influencers that feed them? A bit of a chicken and egg situation, perhaps.
Oh, so like the whole 4K 60 dealy with ray tracing?
No, he's just talking about like, is gamers' desire for like, like technological prowess in a game maybe holding gaming back because developers have to play it safe, and they can't really innovate because these games
focusing on graphics.
Yeah, focus on graphics and all that. Instead of AI, we have a question about that later on.
Question. It's an interesting thing. Like, I mean, to be honest, the easiest way to quantify the generation is usually by the shiny graphics. You know what I mean? Like how do you obviously if you can't see the AI dealy going on like the Nemesis.
Yeah, how do you sell it?
How do you sell that to somebody? Oh well, even a game like Metal Gear, which has a pretty good AI system, but it has those sort of things to sort of those little explanation points, not to that's just sort of like, oh hey, this happens if you do this. Oh hey, this happens if you do that.
I think I would say yes, because, and I'll use the example of like set pieces, right? Like when you go into a room, they're so concerned with making sure the light bounces off of everything and all that right stuff that all the bottles in the room are like glued down. Everything in the room is this weird static set piece, and that's fine 90% of the time. But every once in a while, you like interact with something, and it kind of feels like you're in a dream or like living somebody else's life, and the world is telling you can't do that. And it's almost it's a kind of jarring thing. And I think most of us have kind of just got used to that, but like, don't touch that bottle, because it's you're just your
characters
part of the
scenery.
Exactly.
Well, or they alternatively, going back to The Last of Us, the immersion breaking situation where you get into that dam, right, with what's his face, with Troy Baker's character, and he essentially walks you through all the different rooms, and then you literally, like from above, and you literally can look down and you see all the bottles all shimmering and shit like they're items. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a fight in this room later.
Yeah, they're so. I wouldn't say that it's so much that it's causing a direct lack of innovation, but an indirect lack. Like, they're so focused on making things pretty that they have to narrow you into this hallway so you're seeing it from just the right way, because they only have enough horsepower to really do it from here, and that makes them focus more and more on window dressing as opposed to actual gameplay, and it's just been kind of like this self-defeating loop that we've gotten into, where it has to be prettier, it has to be shinier, and it can't be shinier unless I take some choice away from the character.
Or the the other de facto thing that happens in a game where they constantly lock you into rooms.
Yep.
So that you're forced to have combat. Back in the day, like, PlayStation 2 era, God of War, obviously, there's some sort of magic, locks you in the room, and then when you defeat all the enemies, you can move on. But
Doom does that. The new Dooms.
Oh yeah,
they do that.
Yeah, but how is it that, like, why is it that you can't leave that situation? Like, okay, Last of Us, you have all these different sections, and you literally have to wait until somebody you have to wait till the cinematic when they open the door for you, and then finally you can get out, as opposed to just like, there's a door right there, I'm out of here. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that game that you played there was a speed run? It was it's like the Demon Souls. What was that called? It's something you played just for PlayStation. That with the skeleton dragon or whatever. It says anyway, there was one that it was like that you can just run through, and people were doing speed runs that they made it all the way through in like 10 minutes. 15
My name
minutes.
is Mayo.
No. It was a game he liked to play. It was like a Demon Souls.
My friend Pedro.
No, it was. Remember, you had to like fight some big skeleton creature, and it was really dark and creepy. And
Bloodborne.
It was Bloodborne. There you go.
Oh, okay.
I got you, Brian.
I literally said Bloodborne.
Oh, you did say it? I didn't.
He did.
All right, so there you go, Bloodborne. And maybe that's why, because some people will figure out a way of just running past everything and
Well, I
ruining the
mean,
game.
to be honest, like a lot of the enemies in those Souls games, they some of them for a lot of them they don't lock you out of the room. You know, like
Yeah.
you can leave like if there's that first boss, the cleric beast, you could run away from it.
Actually, the entire Soulsborne franchise is notorious for if you just don't panic and slowly jog, you can just kind of weave your way through literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it having that option, you say like, yeah, it ruins the game, but like it doesn't ruin the game to the person playing it. And that was kind of a thing that we really saw surface when Elden Ring came out. Is they're being like, no, you have to take the choice away from the player because you can't trust them to make the right choice. And then other people were saying like, well, if they want to make that choice, isn't that the right one for them?
Yeah. The thing about Elden Ring is it never gives you, it never tells you what the right choice is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can become you could become the frenzy flame, but then you see that ending that you get with all the thing. It's like, is this a really good thing that happened?
Yeah,
Or,
is this?
yeah, or
I guess it's what I asked for.
Or you
but, like,
side with
goddamn.
Ronnie, and then the essentially bring darkness to the world. Essentially, it's like, is that the right ending? It's like,
You get
wait a
exactly
minute.
what you signed up for, and you're like, wow, okay, here we are. I
So
don't
it's
know what
like,
I expected.
yeah. Oh no, okay. The game doesn't, when the new game plus happens, it doesn't have that thing that you did at the end of the game, right?
No.
Your choice.
I mean, I want to think about games that were innovative in ways other than graphics. Like, let's take like Detroit Become Human, right? Or
Mhm.
let's round it back to a game that I've been diving back into, make this relevant. I've been diving back into Cyberpunk,
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
despite the numerous bugs and shortcomings that the game definitely still has, one of the things it does really beautifully is it ties your story with consequence together. It does a lot of what like Mass Effect promised to do and ended up just doing with smoke and mirrors. An action you make can affect a consequence 3-4 missions down the road. I was telling this to somebody and they're like, yeah, but like it doesn't affect this other mission that you're working on. I'm like, yeah, it does. It affects kind of the world state in general. And they were just really having trouble processing that because most of the time consequences are very insular,
Yeah.
right? So you do have games where you can do that, but it's a lot of trouble to keep track of that.
Yeah.
Detroit Become Human is another one, but the whole game literally has to be built around that because I don't think that they're allocating the resources to just slap that kind of shit on top of the Division. You can't do that.
Yeah. It's always nice to have that sort of a response when you do something that you don't think would be consequential. Oh wait, I just killed that guy. Oh whoa, that dude was important. Wait, how is that possible? So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like I would say, one of the ones, again we go back to Shadow of Mordor, a game that I didn't really care to play, but no one can doubt that that Nemesis system was it's not only a very visual, sort of representation of what their AI is doing in the game, and the fact that you have feedback from it. You kill one guy, another guy remembers you, or they'll talk about what happened previously. That is really, really great, a great system. I don't know how complicated it is, but
consider there's only 2 games that have it, both Shadow of Mordor games.
That's because they have a copyright on it, like bitches.
Yeah, that's kind of
it's not that we can't do that in other games. It's that they won't let anybody else do that in other games. And they took out.
That doesn't mean that you can't make a system that's fairly similar to it.
Yes, actually, the patent they put on it basically says anything remotely like this is under it's unnecessary. I read it. It's unnecessarily broad and kind of a dick move.
Yeah, because that thing was so awesome. Anyway, let's move on.
The answer is no, by the way.
Yeah. What happened?
The answer is no.
Okay, no. By the way, this actually was a separate question, so I'll just ask it again. Is there so much expectation from gamers that games need to hit these high specs or be labeled as shit, or is there something else you think is happening? Who is more to blame, fanboys or the media influencers that feed them? Like when it comes to expectations, it's interesting because I remember, and this is something Manny and I complained about like in like the late 2000s, right, where every question was, is this game gonna have multiplayer? And then every game started having tacked on multiplayer so I was wondering, do the fans want this, or is it the media influencing it? You know what I'm saying? So
I'll tell you exactly whose fault
I'm
it
guessing
is.
that's what you're kind of asking here, right?
He's asking whose fault is the state of the industry, and I'll tell you exactly who it is. It's creatively bankrupt project managers.
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
and shareholders who need exponential growth.
well, I think
everybody has to play it safe.
I think the reason, I mean, especially when you're, and this has been proven all the way back until the early films and stuff like that. The more money that goes into something, the more the innovation tends to go out the window, because the guys at the top have more of a say as to what is going to be happening. Now, if you have a game, like that's coming out, and the question will be about, it's like, okay, does it have all the things? Are we guaranteeing that this is going to be as much of a seller as possible? You need to have this, and this in there in order for it to be successable.
But let me ask you,
and it doesn't hit.
Don't you think that there's a pressure because, we all know the way that, shareholders work?
Therein lies the reasoning why the previous head of PlayStation said that the prices of the budgets for games need to go down, because that is the point when innovation starts to happen, when the company is fully aware, okay, we didn't spend a lot, we didn't spend $1 billion to make this game, we spent less than that. Okay, so now we can have some time to sort of fool around and sort of make things new and different. In the big AAA space, you will not see any sort of innovation. You will see the same shit that you saw before, all conjigured and rolled around into mixed around. The open world game that has a narrative.
Well, that's because they're under the gun. Like, you made $800 million last year. You have to make $900 million this year. Why? Why is it $700 million profit good enough? Mm-hmm. It just isn't, and it's a weird fucking mindset to have to put people in.
Yeah,
and it's unsustainable.
That's again. He even said it, and and all the PlayStation fans jumped down that dude's throat. What's his name? Not Andrew House. Was it Andrew House who said it?
What?
That the budgets to AAA games need to go.
Sean Layden,
and he's fucking right. We said he's right, because because again, the industry can't sustain that sort of stuff. And the other thing is that the problem is that you won't see innovation doesn't come from all of that money being spent. It's all making the shiniest thing possible, and trying not to upset the balance too much.
Yeah, because you need to make more money this year than you did last year.
You need to make more money than you did last year. So I feel like I think Sony games, obviously they did have pretty good budgets, but I do think the budget to Horizon 01 is nowhere compared to what Horizon 02 was.
Yeah, but those sales aren't reflecting it. Anyway, move on. So this next question from Jay Shep is kind of similar. Okay. He goes, throughout the years, I've witnessed gaming evolve into a multi-billion-dollar industry. I now see fanboys on social media and shills selling their souls to be part of this industry. Sure, the quality of games has increased, but the variety of games has drastically decreased. What are the panel's thoughts on the current climate of the gaming industry and the direction it's headed?
Well, I will defer to Sean Layton and say that the budgets for these games need to come down. And the budgets as well as the time that needs to be taken to create these games. It takes how long did it take Naughty Dog from Uncharted to Last of Us?
The first Uncharted?
Uncharted, the last one to Last of Us Part 2. How many years was that?
That was 2008 to 2020.
Wait, no, you mean Uncharted
2018?
Uncharted 4, the last Uncharted game.
Uncharted 4 came out,
2014?
2014.
Yeah.
2014.
Yes,
and then The Last of Us Part 2 came out when?
2020.
2020.
Yesterday.
So and I'm not counting Lost Legacy because that is
so
that
6
is
years. 6 years between.
so
games
6 years. Their development time between games is 6 years
for those two games. Yeah.
for those two games. Now, don't you think that if don't you think that if they were making games the size of maybe Lost Legacy, they would be able to create more titles in between that time with the budget of Lost Legacy?
Yeah, but I think they want to have those giant fucking blockbuster games.
No, they obviously want to have
you know.
those giant blockbuster games, but I would say that a lot of times we talk about the shortage of AAA games and all that stuff. It's because these games are taking billions of dollars to make, as opposed to doing a smaller title, or taking the time and doing smaller titles to sort of and to get more variety out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the thing with Lost Legacy, though, it's essentially an Uncharted game, an Uncharted DLC kind of game. So they already had a good head start with that one.
Yeah, they're iterating off of the previous one. The same thing with Miles Morales.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with the gaming industry, and this might seem kind of weird, or maybe it'll make a lot of sense, is there's not that many singular visions as there used to be in the past. There's back in the day we had the Cliffy B's, the Kojimas, the what's it called, the BioShock guy, that guy, the David Jaffes and those kinds of people, the Peter Molyneuxs. It seemed like it was like one person who had a vision and kind of led their teams to try to accomplish that vision. And now these
I
days,
know one guy and his vision, Carlos.
He has a singular vision.
It's his vision. Yep, and he doesn't make it. It's funny because that guy. Wait, we talking about the same guy?
Druckmann, right. We're talking about Druckmann.
Oh no,
No,
okay.
no,
I thought
no.
it was Jeff
Carlos
Keighley.
knows which guy.
He's talking about the other guy with the vision.
Oh, okay.
He
doesn't make games.
I'm still freaking.
He's in a lot of games though.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I'm still tripping over the name of the BioShock guy. Goddamn, 2K. Anyways, it'll come to
Ken
me
Levine.
eventually. Ken Levine.
Yeah.
Ken Levine. Yeah. So back in the day, I felt like we had a whole bunch of developers that came. It was just one person who had their visions, and they had their teams developed under them, and they try to accomplish what the people had set in mind. But these days, I feel they're more of visions by committee, and they're not visions from creative people. They're visions from trends. They see what's trending, they see what's hot, they see what's going to generate them the most revenue, and they're like, how can we make that? That's what
I was talking about.
The
with
E3 committee.
That's exactly what I was talking about when it comes to a lot of these over budget games. The reason why there's too many cooks in the kitchen is because not cooks. There's the reason why the friggin' the owner of the the owner and the croissant and all the people who essentially own the business are hanging out in the kitchen is because they know how much this shit costs to make. Making this filet mignon is fucking cost them a shitload of money when they could be serving something a little bit cheaper. So obviously they're going to watch over you to make sure that you're making the filet mignon that everybody expects.
I do want to mention, and we'll probably talk about this game later, but I see all these articles where people are praising Ubisoft to making that Assassin's Creed Shinobu game in feudal Japan.
Shinobi,
and it's like it's the Shinobi game.
How innovative.
How innovative! What we've been telling them to do for years, right?
No, but
exactly. We've been telling them. We've been telling them to do this for fucking decades, and they decided to make it when they saw another game make it that made a whole bunch of money.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Again, I find it funny because they literally said the reason they would never, quote unquote, never release a game set in Japan is because that setting was already done too many times. What happened? What happened? Ghost of Tsushima.
They ran out of other
because they
ideas.
saw Ghost. They saw, oh wait, somebody did a samurai game. Oh, maybe we can. We've been. The thing is, we've been wanting you're literally playing a ninja without actually playing a ninja plot wise.
Yeah.
But see, here's okay. here's the thing: Ghost of Tsushima wasn't good and kind of like magical because it was a clone.
No, it was
of another
literally
game.
a good game.
Well, not only was it a good game, it was the first time that like blowing leaves or wind told you a direction, so you didn't rely on a minimap, right? Like small innovations, despite the homogenization of games, like small innovations still are really well received. It's the littlest things, the Nemesis system, the tweaks. Like we definitely still reward innovation. I mean, fucking look at Minecraft, right? It just took a different approach of how you how you approach a video game, and how much fucking money has that franchise made?
But yeah, I definitely think that why Ubisoft saw Ghost of Tsushima and said, "Oh man, we should totally do a ninja game," even though everybody's been saying, "Hey, you should do a fucking ninja game."
Nah.
We'll do a game in Japan, and it was a side scroller. It didn't do well, so that's why we're not going to make it a ninja game.
God damn it! You know what it feels like? It feels like you're like, hey, make a ninja game, and they're like, nah. You know what I should do? Make a ninja game.
Yeah, that's but to be honest, that's most of the industry these days. You will say, and I come from experience. You will tell these people to their faces, "We are doing a ninja game. We should totally do a ninja game. This will be inside the offices." And then marketing come back to you. Well, what's really big right now? Norse games. Norse games. Those are big right now. You got to do a Norse game.
I mean, and that's, and I'll harken back to something that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. The whole thing with Call of Duty. I mean, on Call of Duty, GTA 5. It's like we're talking about how personal politics is going to ruin the game. It's like, no, it's money politics that's going to ruin this game, because there's a reason. There's a reason why we don't have a GTA 6 right now, and it's not because they ran out of ideas, or because there aren't brilliant people who can come up with a good game. It's because they're trying to figure out a way to make the next experience that's going to generate the cash cow, and that's what's ruining most of the industry.
Yep.
And they're okay.
No, I said yep.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought it was someone else.
No, you good.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's why I have big issues with all these companies when now we're gonna do Halo Infinite, when they said this is gonna be the live service Infinite game. It's like, here we go. We know exactly what freaking tree branch they're trying to get off of. So yeah, I've been saying this since I got into Throwdown, but the direction in gaming hasn't been a good trajectory.
I think that a lot of times what happens is that when again, you can't fully you can try to predict what's going to be the next thing, the next trend, but you don't fully have control over that. And that when something does become a trend, that's when all in order to make money, all the other guys are going to start following suit.
Yeah, I mean, think about the best year in gaming for me at least was 2007. What trend was there? There was like Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out same year as Uncharted, same as Super Mario, same
BioShock.
as Portal, same as BioShock. It's like, where the hell is? There's no trend in between any of those games.
They were just
it's
good
crazy,
games,
man.
15 years ago, by the way.
15 years ago.
That was the last time we had a big oh my god moment in gaming. I mean, I don't really need to say much. You guys already said it, and I've been saying this for like 2 generations now. Like the state of the gaming industry is pretty abysmal, man. Like this year alone, again, I've only played 6 games. I'm like, Jesus, man, what the fuck? Like I realize there's a bunch of indie games still coming out. That's great, but that's not my thing. The games I want, we're not getting them anymore, or in the number we used to, and it's pretty upsetting.
Tony,
yo, what up?
Real quick, there's something that I want to take because I reviewed Destroy All Humans 2.
Yeah.
Right, and I found it funny. That's a next gen exclusive. That's not available for the Xbox One or the PS4. It's only PS5 and the Series X. I was like, so random. A remake of an old game is only for the next gen.
They can't do it on any other console, Adam.
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't believe that.
Not the fact that it was on a PlayStation 2,
I know.
20 years ago.
I could, because we had somebody else who was going to do a review, and then they had the Xbox One X. They didn't have the Series X. I was like, yo, this doesn't work. And I contacted the rep, and I was like, oh, by accident you sent this code. He's like, no, there is none. That's it. And it's only for Series X and PS5. I was like, that's so random. An old remake game. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. But there you go. There's your exclusive, a remake of an old game.
Jesus Christ.
And going to something Kishak asked Tony in the chat. He said, Tony, are you hard to please?
Absolutely, I am.
Yeah,
and
I feel like
every year I become harder to please. I'm like inflation. I just keep going up, you know?
I feel like that's similar to a lot of us in the room, because we're kind of, even though we're different ages, we kind of came up through gaming throughout the same time.
Yeah.
And it was in its infancy stage where there was a lot of people that were just inspired to create the best games that they could, because it was the new thing. And now that it's more of a profiteering scheme, it's that kind of inspiration and for us an exploration of new technologies and of new experiences. They're kind of dwindling. There's not that many anymore. It's kind of like the Cambrian explosion came through, and it's like, all right, where's the next set of species? But we're not,
but if you think about it, it really shouldn't impact us, because we were here at the beginning when everything was looking real shitty with the 8-bit. So we should just appreciate it. It was like, hey, it looks better than when we first got into this shit. So I'll just take it. It's sort of like the MP3 idea, because for a long time the music industry was like that MP3 thing. Why is everybody stressing? It's not going to carry on. Quality is so low. It's not CD quality and this and that. It didn't matter. People didn't give a shit.
It was convenient.
It's convenience. It's convenience won out. And so there you go. It doesn't matter.
No, you're 100% right. But yeah, no, I don't need to go into it. The state of the industry is fucking abysmal. Very upsetting.
It's a state of decay.
Yeah, state of decay. This is literally I'm just like a fucking parrot now. The worst generation ever. Fucking terrible. All right, let's move on here. See, just tweets. There you go. That's the kind of shit that gets reactions.
This generation is fucking terrible.
Real quick.
How many characters is that?
Here's a quick question, because I wasn't around. Did anybody here actually buy or play that Saints Row game? Because I know
I reviewed it. I beat the game. I reviewed it.
Did you? Oh, you liked it?
I'm playing it just now.
You liked it? You like it?
Here's the thing. I don't like the story or the characters. I thought they were fucking bland, but I enjoyed the gameplay, right? And as I also said, I think I may be peppered by the fact that I've been so hungry for a AAA game that this fit the bill in that way. But then again, when I tried to play it again the other day, I'm like, I don't want to play this shit. So then I got in Cyberpunk instead, But yeah, the game's not that good. I think, because again, it's too safe. The raunchiness isn't there. The offensiveness isn't there anymore. You're playing as these fucking hipster millennials and shit. They're all nicey with each other. I'm like, where's the edge, man? Where's the bite this fucking franchise used to have?
The funny thing about hipster millenniums, those motherfuckers can be fucking brutal to each other. That is not a real representation of those type of people like that.
Yeah, but yeah, if they would have had those kind of people, it would be better. But no,
No, the thing about it is like a lot of people want to see the world nice. The thing about the
Saints
world
Row
being,
was never nice.
Saints Row was never nice. You know what it was, and it's just like the Grand Theft Auto. They weren't nice, but they essentially where you were as the player were a part of the joke. You could laugh with the joke. That's what it is. Now it's like, okay, now you can't say these things because somebody might get, again, I talk about talking about rounding edges.
Yeah,
but I think the thing about it is that, like, for why round the edges of a game like a Saints Row when excess and absurdity was the order of business.
Yeah, and that's also a reason why I feel a lot of games aren't as good as they should be, because they're rounding the edges off of everything now.
But it's still
But that's also
immature,
a
so they
problem
shouldn't
with
give
media
a
in
shit.
general,
Right? They shouldn't give a shit.
They
It's
shouldn't, but they
immature.
do,
Yeah, it's for mature audience. So it's like,
If the game is for the majority of people, why? Number one, that was the order of business of a lot of those those games from that sort of era, the Grand Theft Autos, the Saint Rose.
Yeah.
They were outrageous, but at the same time, and I think that's what a lot of modern people don't seem to understand. The main character, your protagonist, was the levity, right? You know what was CJ, despite being being growing up in the hood and all this in this shitty life, he still was the levity in that story. He was meeting all these nutty people and commenting on them, like, "What's wrong with you, man?" Stuff like that.
Straight man, yeah.
He was the straight man in this nutty world. So that's why you could sort of and that's what also sort of made him relatable. It's like, yeah, man, these guys are fucking nuts.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Another question from Mr. J. Shep. According to recent reports, PlayStation 5 has overtaken the Nintendo Switch in the UK to become the best-selling console so far in 2022. Okay. Do you think this trend will continue even after the PS5 price increases? Yeah, I think so, because the Switch is already kind of on the way out. That's an old console now. Meanwhile, the PS5 is the hot new one,
It's the hotness. It's the new hotness.
Oh, yeah, that trend will continue for sure. Just like when the Switch came out, it started overselling the PS4 and Xbox. That trend continued because it was like new hotness.
Isn't there like a slight, like two slight redesigns that they did on the 5 recently?
Just to make it a little lighter and stuff.
Lighter and maybe probably bring down the manufacturing costs.
Exactly. Which is interesting because they jacked up the price everywhere but America. Even though they're saving more money.
I feel like if they did that in America, people will fucking start lighting the Sony main headquarters on fire.
Well, think about it like this, right? When the price hike went up, right? Who were the loudest people? It didn't affect America. Who were the loudest people? Americans, and also around the rest of the world. PlayStation has such a dominant hold that they could raise up the price. People are gonna go, fuck, we gotta buy it. In America, be like, fuck you, I'm buying an Xbox. So that's why they're not trying to mess with that shit.
These loudmouth Americans.
Kishak, the American currency is stable as fuck right now. We have parity with the euro right now. Like that's Manny. Remember you were telling me years ago that you got paid more in euros. I guess that's not.
Oh fuck, man! I totally want getting paid in euros and pounds. Yeah. That was some good shit, man. I'm like, okay, I'll be the outsourced gimp. I'm getting good money off of these people.
Yeah, right, yeah, go ahead.
Do you remember Euro Trip? Did you see that movie Euro Trip? Remember that scene where they go to some weird Middle East and what was it? It was somewhere near Germany, some area. But anyway, they were in a hotel and they only had $1 in change. But then the guy tosses a nickel to the guy who works it, and the guy looks at him, oh, American nickel. He smacks his boss. I opened my own hotel.
I remember that.
Yeah, I think
it's hilarious.
I love. I used to love doing. I would have loved doing more work back. When I was doing freelance for European countries or companies or companies in England. Shit, I got paid good money from those guys.
Yeah.
There's a new, and this is going to be really quick because this is super tangent and it's not gaming related. There's a new trend where this whole working from home stuff. A lot of people moving to Mexico City and from the U.S. and just living off of U.S. dollars, and their currency is crazy different. So,
and the folks in Mexico City are like, "What the fuck is going on, man? All these foreigners moving into my town, raising up the property around here.
We're gonna gentrify New Mexico now,
Oh man,
that's the funny thing because it's essentially what happened to Brooklyn in those parts.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Shit.
Anybody gonna say anything about gentrification now, or because it's in another country, nobody will give it a shit? How about them apples in America?
All right, that's a simple question to answer. Next one: has PlayStation 5's price increase? Has PlayStation 5's recent price increase somehow inadvertently raised the PS5's overall worth? No.
No,
it's still the same shit. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It didn't. The worth didn't raise any.
No, to be honest, it's sort of PlayStation becoming fucking greedy. It's the same.
Oh, yeah,
it's
it
the
is.
same. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same.
Greedy $70 for a remake game. Come on now.
It's the same. It's the same. It's the same bullshit that's going on with the oil companies. What is the reason why the gas is going up? Can you legitimately tell me? Because nobody ever. Because apparently the oil companies, if they agree to, they can just raise the fucking prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't raise the worth of the console because it costs more. That's silly.
No, To be honest, I would be like, yo, if you raising the prices, you better give me some more shit, motherfucker.
Yeah, and you're not. It's the same thing.
That's what y'all who are getting the price hike. You should be saying to Sony. You should be saying, all right, you giving me like a year's worth of PlayStation Plus or something to come with this expensive fucking console.
The only thing that I see would increase the value is the resale value in America. Let's say the people in here that have the PS5 and want to resell, it's like, well, it's worth more now. So,
oh yeah, hey, there you go, scalpers. If you can match that price, right? You can pretty much sell it at that cost. You'll be making bank because you bought it for cheaper over here.
And it's costing them less to manufacture them now by removing those extra parts to make it lighter. That's the whole point of making it lighter.
Yeah, they redesigned it. And the heat sink's smaller now.
So you make things smaller, and you're saving a few bucks, and then you're like, all right, now we're gonna jack up the price.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a smack in the face.
Yeah. Again, we've never seen this before with consoles, where you raise the price 2 years later for no improvements whatsoever. Remember, and we saw this before with the Oculus Quest, right? We're like, we've never seen that before, and now this happens.
Yeah, Oculus, freaking Facebook said, nah, man, this needs to cost more money.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
Why? It's got the same bullshit as it did before.
Yeah, there's no improvements. It's the same thing.
Usually, it's not like it's not like Europe is getting the the PlayStation 5.0 where it has slightly better graphics or something quantifiable.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. So because I know there are some people like, the PlayStation price hike signifies its worth. Shut up.
It doesn't. All it is just motherfuckers say, hey, we can get a little bit more money off of this shit.
That's it. Jim Ryan, man. All right.
Jim, people in England should be mad at that dude. Be like, yo, man, you the betrayer. You charging us more money?
Yeah. Another one from Kishak. He asked this during the show tonight. Do you think gamers will accept lower budget and shorter AAA games from PlayStation? We've talked about this for years. Like, there's this thing with gamers, and I think it's what J-Ship was kind of hinting at, where like if something costs less, it's perceived as having less worth.
I mean,
this is why we like you've seen it when a game runs for $40. We're like $40. That thing sucks.
I will say this. I mean, the people selling it think it's worth less. So
but you
in a very technical sense.
Yeah, no, you're right. But it's like we've seen that throughout like the last 20 years. Like $40 games, it's fucking cheap.
I think Gravity Rush 2 was a $40 game.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing is,
that was a pretty good game for $40.
To answer the question, no, because people are going to be like, I paid X amount of money and this game's short. Fuck that,
Yeah, and then also, again, we talk about all the price hikes. Remember, back in the day when people were complaining about the $60 price tag or the $50 price tag, it was like, oh wait, it doesn't have any online. Oh, it's not a certain amount of length.
Yeah.
I mean, Last of Us Remake Part 2. I mean, Remake Part 1.
I don't understand what it is with that game. Think about it. It's a relatively short game, right? $70, and people are like, oh my god, it's like, and you don't get your online.
Yeah, and you don't get. Apparently, if that was released back in the day, people would have been lighting fires because the online mode wasn't in there.
Yeah. I don't understand what.
I guess you're getting a little bit more, money's worth because it's coming with the DLC that it originally came with. I don't know.
AI.
Yeah.
They got the AI and they, re-arted everything. I don't know. Yeah. I think they really should have. They really should have just tossed it out there for the good old $60 price, I think people would have been, would have been fine with
It shouldn't
that.
be $60, man. It should be fucking $40. It's the old game, you know.
I mean, I say for the $60 price because they did shine it up and put new environments and have new group models. Okay, you can do that. I would go with the
They're
60.
being greedy. Again, I said this on the last show. If The Last of Us remastered didn't exist, then you could justify this. Because the only other way you would have been able to play this is on PS3. Nobody has that anymore. But you could buy it right now for $6. You know?
Yeah, it's what was it? 2014 that came out? That
2013.
Yeah.
2013?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But again, people are so hungry for games, they're willing to accept it.
I think this Last of Us thing serves really two purposes. It's obviously to catch the zeitgeist of the of the movie, and it's a kind of a quick throw, slip in, to kind of bolster the titles that are that aren't really happening right now for PlayStation. They supposedly, I don't know how many things they have in development, but again, it's pretty damn dry. So I'm thinking they knew that it was going to be dry, and they said, "All right, how can we fill it up, fill in the space? All right, take an old game, put it in there."
Well, that Last of Us show doesn't come out till next year. I thought maybe it was coming out soon, which is why they were pushing it at 70 to try to get that, that connection. But shit, I just looked it up again. Yeah, no, it says 2023 sometime.
2023 sometime? I would think it'd be February, if anything.
Yeah, I heard it was March, but I don't know.
Yo, can I ask, who's actually playing this game all the way through for the third time? Like, if you're playing it for the third time and like this is your first time really getting into it, and this time you're really gonna finish it, you're not the hardcore fan I'm talking about. Like, who the fuck is playing The Last of Us Part 2 for the third time? At least the third time.
Honest,
YouTubers and Twitch streamers trying to get the views. That's all. That's
half the people on my timeline.
To be honest, once was enough for Last of Us for me.
That's kind of once was enough. Okay, maybe you go through a second time for, to see it, kind of polished up. But like by the third time, isn't it just old hat at that point?
Oh, but it's got new graphics now, Brett.
Even if it has slightly new graphics, like, I don't know, man. It's such a linear game that I'm just like,
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Again, maybe people feel different than I do, but I don't know. Once was enough for me. I thought it was a great experience, and I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, I can only play shooters like that, like 3 or 4 times through, like the Titanfall and
Last of Us is not. I mean, this is my opinion, but Last of Us is not a good fucking time. I'm sorry.
No.
It's like,
you don't want to hang out in that environment.
No, I don't want to go back in that world again. Like, hey, look at me, I'm running around getting
it's a miserable world. Why would you want to do that to yourself?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to go back. I get it if
you're playing Shemnu, but like.
Oh, by the way, Brett, to answer your question, Blitz says he's playing it for the 5th time now.
Jesus Christ!
Really? And I know there's people that they play it annually.
No. I mean, this is a legitimate question, yo, bro. I'm not talking shit. Like, what drives you to play it a 5th time? Like. Do you just love the world and being in that atmosphere? Do you love the characters and the story? Do you love the gameplay? Like, what draws you for that 5th game, for that 5th playthrough? I am genuinely curious.
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to play it a second time. So
no, I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
Playing it 5 times doesn't make.
He says he loves the story and the world.
Okay, yeah, I mean. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I thought it was a really fun game, and I love that world. I would not play it through a second time because it was a story game. I know the story now. I'm done.
Mm-hmm. I played it multiple times just to sort of see what the differences of the choices were.
Yeah, he says also since they came out, I became a dad and have a daughter. So there's some.
See that's my.
I did that too. I can't play that shit. That makes it worse. That stresses me out.
That makes it worse.
No, I think a lot of the sales of this are driven by people evangelizing and or sharing this game with other people, which makes a lot of sense to me because this game is. I'm not saying it's not a good game. It is a good game. Yeah. That being said, it definitely has an element of kind of like cultured Emperor's New Clothes kind of thing. Like, if you don't get this game, then you don't get art. Well, of course, a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, this game, I get it. I get art. This game is great. I mean, it's a trope for a reason. It exists for a reason, and I'm not saying that's not. I think it's the combination of all of these things. It's a perfect storm, man. It's people legitimately enjoying it, people legitimately wanting to share it, and then people just kind of chiming in because they want to seem like they know what the fuck they're talking about. They're on the bandwagon. You get all these together, it just kind of makes this huge wave.
How about this? Last of Us has a pretty dedicated fan base.
Yep.
And that happens with most games. There's people who've played Skyrim 10 times and have bought pretty much every copy of Skyrim, and that doesn't make sense to me. But it does make sense that people have obsessions over things that I particularly don't have obsessions over.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you to pick up and play Senua Sacrifice all day long. Doesn't mean I'm playing it a second time.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah, but I'm.
Yeah. By the way, Bliss says I replay a heap of games I love. I don't understand why that's so hard to understand. LOL.
No, you can replay. I do that all the time. But it's when you're in the fourth and fifth time of something that's so story heavy. Like I can understand if it's fun.
I guess it's like rewatching your favorite movie and shit. You know.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the same sort of idea, but I don't know. I can watch The Thing a bunch of times, but I can't play The Last of Us a bunch of times.
But you barely wanted to play the first one, so you didn't like it as much as Blitz did. So
no, I'm saying I love the game. I love the game, but I feel like it wasn't. It felt like I got it already, and I didn't really need to go back. I just feel like the world was just something I didn't want to go back to. I mean, to be honest, like I don't know, maybe he has found a way to find some fun within that world, but I really don't feel that for that game. I mean, sometimes you can just enjoy something once, and it's just like, all right, we're good to go. I'm good. I feel like that's with a lot of those Marvel movies these days. Just one and done. Some of them good. Like, all right, good. I don't need to go back.
Well, he said himself, he's not necessarily there to be told the story. He enjoys existing in the world. Like, if you like the vibe, and you feel a connection to the characters and the story and everything, like that's a different thing. That's you enjoying kind of sliding into a warm bath that is
yeah. No, but in all honesty, I'm glad you have a game like that, man. That's fucking beautiful. You know?
Yeah, no, that's
for
amazing.
me. For me,
you can do that.
I don't have a game like that. I'm like, once or twice, and I'm good. You know.
For me, that game when it really affected me, where it was like, you're standing in a person's house, and everything is all there like the way it was when they left. And then you see, through visual storytelling, the story that they're essentially of their lives. And then you read a letter that may have been written by one of the family members or their kid or something like that, essentially talking about the final hours of that. I don't know. It was definitely affected me. And I just really didn't want to go back to live that.
It's too, like I just said, I loved Senua Sacrifice. I felt like it made me grow as a person. I felt like it was true art.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy any goddamn as a widower. The whole concept of the premise of the game itself was horribly triggering. I enjoyed 0 of my time in that game, but I would still tell you it's a worthwhile experience. It's a piece of art. It's a good thing. We don't always play a video game to have fun. But that's also not the kind of game I would probably go back and play several times. So that's the reason I was kind of asking about it. It's but incredibly dreary. It's not somewhere I want to necessarily go back to. I want to go there to experience the story, and it was totally worth it. But I don't want to just chill there, man.
It's kind of
hang out in post-apocalyptic those, whatever.
It's kind of similar with something like Schindler's List. It's like. There's people that watch it every year because they thoroughly enjoy the movie. But for us, probably it's kind of the similar thing where it's like I don't want to go back to that because it's so depressing. So
yeah, Schindler's List was a one and done film for me.
Yeah. So
there's also people interpret things differently. Like one of the kind of reasons, I've always loved the Fallout universe, but I think since I've had certain things happen in my life, I kind of now resonate with the idea of the world has been destroyed and now you're rebuilding again. And so I find a kind of peace in building a little junkyard tower and kind of watching the windmill go. It's just the way my internal lexicon.
But don't you think that
interprets
also
it.
the world of Fallout is also fairly a tongue-in-cheek a visualization of the future? It's fairly. It's not. It's
not
deep.
as heavy. It is not as heavy.
It's not heavy, but yeah, it's like literally the world just destroyed itself in like the 1950s, and it's all stuck in the 50s.
Yeah, but look at it this way: like you have somebody who's like a little kid who grows up loving horror movies, they kind of get this. It's the same way I learned to associate pirates with my dad and reading me stories and like adventure, and that's how I interpret pirates, not bloodthirsty rapists, right? So like people who grew up on like a lot of these horror movies, they tend to associate spooky horror, death. They tend to enjoy that kind of feeling because it's from a safe distance. It's the same idea of loving a horror movie to being scared when you were a kid, and if you grew up with that, it also probably is evokes some nostalgia. It's a very complicated mix of emotions, man. Like I still get that in some video games I play where like Cyberpunk 2077, like I loved Shadowrun. I've always loved Cyberpunk. I'm slowly turning into Cyberpunk. I'm thinking about getting my head tattooed.
Uh-oh.
That's a completely separate discussion, but like it's
Brad, are you becoming a Cyberpunk?
Yo, man, we have a cousin who got his head tattooed recently.
Oh, here we go.
I want to get a mohawk. I want to get a mohawk tattooed. We already live in a dystopian future ruled by megacorporations, so fuck it. Why not?
Well, he's obviously given into the fact that he will never have a normal job.
Same here. Like, if anybody can do it, why not me? But kind of getting back on track, like I think that's one of the reasons I love like kind of Fallout. I'm really enjoying Cyberpunk is like that resonates to me. Like people see a dirty junk-filled alley filled with strung-out drug addicts, and they're like, not necessarily somewhere I want to be, but I look at it, I'm like, this has a weird like home kind of feeling. Not necessarily because I actually grew up here, but because I grew up with shit like Tank Girl, so it kind of has this familiarity to me, and I would probably bet dollars to donuts that he's a fan of a horror genre and has been for a while. I mean, you're in the chat. Is that true? Have you dug horror movies since you were a kid?
Oh yeah, he does. He goes. I rewatch horror movies all the time.
Yeah. See,
I rewatch horror movies a lot.
Yeah, we make some weird associations in the things that make us comfortable and happy. So like, I am not throwing shade. Like, I just the things my internal lexicon is different than your internal lexicon. I grew up with street graffiti and punk rock, and like you grew up with horror movies. So I think it's just I'm having trouble understanding what Manny and I view it as a dreary environment. I doubt you view it as a dreary, nihilistic hellscape. So, interesting, though.
Yeah. All right, let's move on because we still got a couple more questions here. Oh, we got a few from Eurocar 9. Uh-oh.
Mr. Nines.
We're going to have to change
the nines
dollar car 9.
Yeah. All right, first one here. What are Adam's thoughts on all the Division news that came out of Ubisoft Forward?
Not good. You can move on.
Okay.
That was, I knew a lot of this stuff already. I knew that they were going to go on with the Division. I kept telling people they thought I was lying. And no, look, they already announced year 5. They're going to go and produce more content and stuff. So, okay, that's great. But man, this Homefront, it really didn't go in depth on that. We knew about that. That was the free to play game. That
what about Heartland? What do you think of that?
And well, yeah, the Heartland. That's the free to play game.
Yeah.
And I was okay. I'm looking forward to it because of the team that's behind it. They're the ones that did all the PvP stuff that was in the Division. So I'm looking forward to that. But man, they didn't really go into depth of anything new for it. And then the next one is just a mobile game. Look, I was like, I get it. Mobile, especially for Ubisoft. Everything was mobile, right? We got a Rainbow Six mobile coming. The Assassin's Creed, all of it, everything. It's sad because that's not the world I live in. That's not for me. So I know right off the bat, it doesn't matter what they put on it, what they say. Oh, it's going to do. It doesn't matter. I don't. If I'm doing anything mobile, it's my Steam Deck. That to me, that's mobile, not my phone. My phone is not mobile for games. And so I was upset.
You remember that song by The Rock? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, and that's what's upsetting. And you see, they of course we know that Ghost Recon, another one that they had announced that they changed the name. They were going to get rid of the Tom Clancy part, and then they just scrapped the game altogether. So that's not happening. And I was expecting, I know it was far-fetched, but I was expecting that they were going to announce, and we will be developing another division or some other large expansion. But they're not. This year 5 just means another battle pass and another hunting, and you have to do some challenges and stuff. And that's glitchy. Right now, this current one is glitchy. I've played with a few friends, and we're going through it, and for some reason, the credits not materializing across the board. I did a mission with some of them. It didn't register on my end. Another buddy, he's done all the manhunts with us and completed all of them with us, and none of them registered. It's not coming up. So now he doesn't want to play. It's discouraging him. He's like, I'm not doing this shit. And now I know I have to go and replay certain parts. And I was like, you just want something different. And when I get something, and I'm really hoping that Heartland can deliver that's in the Midwest, and it looks all right, but they haven't shown anything new about that, and it's still in early beta testing. So who knows when the shit's gonna come out? And then, like we said, it's a free to play, and we know what that means.
Yeah.
So and it doesn't mean it's going to be poor quality, because we could throw that out the window now. I feel like all the current games, as we've seen with Diablo, they're not poor quality. They are up to par, but there's a price that you have to pay to play for these quality type games, and they're going to get you. They're going to get you with gear. They're going to get you with weapons. They're going to get you any way possible. Where if you want anything that would normally be in the game as just something that you pick up and it's free, nope, now you got to pay because it's free. I really do wish, and it'll never happen, but I wish that there was an option of like, hey, do you just want to buy this game? You know, and as opposed to just having to go through the free model and you get a certain amount of it. Gameloft, they're infamous for making those type of games for mobile and stuff. They've made the modern, it was like a Call of Duty ripoff and a few other ones, but eventually they did do that. It was all free to play stuff, and then they said, you know what, when they came out to Switch and other ones, here's a flat price and you get all of it. And it'd be good if they did something like that, but unfortunately, no, we're not getting it. So no, I was not happy with any of this division.
All right. And in general, what did people think of Ubisoft Forward this year?
Didn't pay attention, to be honest.
Didn't you know that it happened?
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, yesterday. I guess I'll give my thoughts as I had to cover it for work. The big stuff for me was all the Assassin's Creed news. It's just kind of funny, and I tweeted about this how after Valhalla, I'm like, I'm done, you know. But then they're like, but we got Mirage and a ninja game. I'm like, damn it, pull me back in. These motherfuckers.
But that could have been a whole other show, because that was like at the end, a whole new guy. It was
Here's what I found interesting.
The guy from
they called it the Assassin's Creed Showcase, but it was in the Ubisoft presentation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a whole new host team, right? The new host came, and it was a completely different cut, and it was long. It was like a half hour.
Yeah, it was its own thing. It was 30 minutes long. Yeah. So that's the only thing. But other than that, I don't care. By the way, I am low-key insulted that fucking Rayman is in that new Mario Rabbids game, but he doesn't have his own game. Where's my new Rayman game, you motherfuckers?
I don't care about that. Oh, and I was upset again with it. And when I got pissed when they were like, "Oh, like you said about the Mirage and what listening to what the people want." Yeah, where's our Splinter Cell?
Yeah,
we were wanting that shit. Where is that?
No Splinter Cell. So the show was just, I don't know. I didn't care for the main show. Assassin's Creed is the only thing I care about. So in that sense, I was okay with it, but yeah, kind of forgettable stuff overall, you know. And it seems nobody else watched this shit, so there it is.
Yeah,
I didn't. Adam were the only ones who watched
it. I didn't see it other than just saw like the Mirage kind of news.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of happy that they're.
But we see where they're going with it, of why they're doing this, because they're going to make smaller games.
I hope so. Good.
They're going to have. It's going to be. They're going to go a different route of like, all right, yeah, we need to produce these games every year. We need the revenue. So what do? Well, let's make a smaller one. Like they said, we're going back to the roots, and it's going to be more Assassin's focus.
Because Adam, remember the Ninja one that they said that's going to be a full scale game.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's probably going to be all the islands of Japan. They're going to probably go crazy.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Taking boats everywhere.
They did all of Greece. They did all of England. They're going to probably do all of Japan now.
Ragnarok is any indication they're going to run out of room and have to make up imaginary places of Japan.
That's right.
Well, Japan ain't big enough, bro.
Well, they made up imaginary places for Valhalla for the Odin.
Odin. They did,
I just don't. Why don't they just? If you're going to make these worlds so big, and you already have people just running around alone, then just add co-op. We know they can do it. They did it with Unity.
They're gonna maybe do it with that game because that
other one, Infinite or whatever.
No, here's it's interesting. So there's this. It's basically like a hub. They didn't explain right. So there's this hub. Let's just call it a hub for the sake of our, the conversation, called Assassin's Creed Infinite. And within the hub, you can play Red, codename Red, and codename Hex. That's the other one. And they said there's going to be some kind of multiplayer aspect, but they weren't clear on that what that meant.
I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be like how we've seen Hub with Destiny and the Halo Hub, where everything is all linked. Like you can click the games, but there's add-ons, there's perks. Yeah. It's just keeping you connected.
We don't know. We don't know for sure.
I don't know if you guys, we all own Assassin's Creed games, but right after that, all my game box art changed. They changed all of them. They removed all the images, and now it just says a number.
Interesting, really.
Does anybody for all of them? Yeah,
I haven't bought a physical game in years.
Not physical. They're digital. There's all digital.
Yeah,
the box art. That's what I'm saying. It changed like right afterwards. I looked down because I have on my Xbox. I have a folder that just has all my AC games.
I know what you mean. It's just the Assassin's Creed logo with a different color.
Yeah, they changed. They got rid of all the the image that you had of the Spartan dude, the image of the pirate guy. It's all gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I don't want to see these numbers like this. I like the image. I can't even revert back. I have no control over that.
Yeah, just how it is, man. Kind of the way my Kindle keeps changing the book art every time they release new book art. I'm like, I want the old ones, But it is what it is. All right, moving on here. Bebop Boru bonus. How manageable is a Cyberpunk plat for those who have done the research? I'm assuming me. Not that bad. The only thing is, and this is what I'm trying to do right now, because you need to max out certain perks. So what you need to do is get like 20 perk points, put them into one attribute, get the trophy, reload the shit, put them into another one, and just do that 4 times. I think it's 4 trophies, and then you put them on whatever you want afterwards. That's what I'm going to do right now. So right now, I'm not putting skill points or nothing into anything until I max those trophies out, and then I can start building my characters. I'm trying to make a net runner, which is very different from me. Usually I like running and gunning, but I'm going to do a net runner. So, and the other one is like just finish all the side missions for the main side characters, and you're good to go. It's a pretty easy platinum, so that's why I'm gonna go for it. It's just gonna be time intensive, and obviously you gotta get 100% of the whole map and everything. That's probably gonna take a while, but that's easy shit. So I hope Eurocar is satisfied by that answer.
Yes, I've talked to him recently, and he said that because the whole thing. Speaking of coincidence, not only was Brett,
it's gonna take longer than Ghost of Tsushima, by the way, just letting you know.
Oh shit! Not only did the gaming gods bestow the coincidence of Brett and Tony wanting to play this game, but myself, I've been pausing on this game for a minute now. I've been waiting for the patches to come in and all the hot fixes and a stable version of the game, and I think this is the time.
Do it, man.
And like Tony, when you tweeted out the whole thing, it's like I've been starving a fucking AAA game. I'm like, I feel the exact same way.
I'm hungry over here, and because like I already put 100 hours into the PC version, don't need to replay that again. Let's get the platinum on the PlayStation, because I bought the thing, but I'm like, wait, because I thought the next gen patch was coming right after launch. Nope, that took a while,
I mean, depending on how much it pisses me off with glitches, like I could see a second playthrough. There's the choices that you make affect enough of the story that it kind of almost warrants a second playthrough
for
just
sure,
to see how different things go. And there's so
would-
many different playstyles. Like you said, I'm doing a Netrunner god. Like I'm doing basically oh shit. Ultron. I'm doing an Ultron kind of playthrough where I could just punch shit and then take over all machines.
Nice.
So
I
like,
do it
I was
I basically don't even have to go into a room and I could just kill everybody from beyond the
yeah,
walls.
I'm playing the exact same way, Tony.
Nice.
And it kind of made me be like, well, you know what might also be fun is like having a katana and slowing down time. Like punching people is like melee combat in this game is surprisingly satisfying.
Actually, dude, chopping off heads with that katana is fucking sweet.
Yeah,
you see that head just flipping around? It's awesome.
Yeah, and then you're like, I could slow time and have mantis blades. Like, oh, maybe I should do that. But I also enjoy setting people on fire with my mind through a series of cameras.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with Netrunner, man. I'm gonna have a lot of fun.
Just to mention a quick thing about Cyberpunk, that's why it fucking broke my heart that the game came as broken as it did, man. Because this game, you know, you could like we talk about all these experiences where they kind of feel like they're going on trends, but this game felt like it was kind of sort of like a love letter to what.
Yeah, the shit we used to grow up on, you know? I was like, this is amazing. Again, what clicked for me was when I was playing this game and I saw like just random crime happening. I'm like, oh my God, this is RoboCop. Like, that's what
dude, I've been running around playing Batman for money.
Yeah, oh, it's great. It's great. Again, no other game gives me that experience. I'm like, I've never played a giant open world Cyberpunk game like this, and it has all that same sarcasm you expect from like RoboCop and shit, you know, with the corporations being all fucked up. I love it. Here's the game. That game is dark, but it also has that weird kind of comedy.
This game is edgier than GTA.
In some cases it can be. Actually, yeah, I know. Yeah, you might. I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna go that far, but yes, it's definitely edgy. You know,
think about it. Think about like there's like advertisements for like killing yourself. Like there's satire in this game, man. There's like some good satire in this game.
And it's funny. I'm like, this is a 2020 game. It has that much bite to it.
Yeah, let me put it this way: this game is edgier than current GTA.
You mean GTA 5?
The current state of GTA 5.
You mean the online?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I haven't played those online missions, so I don't know.
It's all just boring. Like you want to do a heist, like there's no ugly caricatures of people as much anymore. Like if anything, it's you know they do a lot of like kind of like smug like it's I don't know. It's watered down, man.
That's not good.
Everything that I've seen has been watered. Like I haven't seen anything edgy from any of the online stuff for years, man.
But regardless, yeah, playing Cyberpunk, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when games used to be edgy, you know? And
yeah, now you own a nightclub.
It was only 2 years ago, you know?
Now you own a nightclub, Tony.
Yeah, right, yeah, and a submarine too, you know? Oh, man. All right, moving on here. 2 more questions for then. We're kind of going long today. I don't know what's going on. Assyrian Air Force. When do you expect Sony to have their PlayStation showcase? They had it in 2020 and 2021, but nothing this far. Will we get one? What are they going to show? There's nothing.
Wait, what? Did I dream this? But wasn't one announced like today?
Was there? On a Sunday?
What? I could like there was going to be a PlayStation showcase. Something.
What are they going to show? You know,
that's why they're having the showcase so they can show the things that you don't think they're going to show.
I mean,
they're just gonna play Last of Us for the whole thing, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah. Okay,
we all secretly hope that they've got a bunch of stuff that they're just not showing us, and it's not that we have nothing.
I went to Google. Will there be a PlayStation showcase 2022?
What did Google say? What is it? What is it? It says the Magic 8-Ball thing, like, you know, the outlook looks you know, positive.
It says there's supposed to be one in September, but this is I don't know this. Oh, rumor.
Well, I mean, TGS is going to be happening pretty soon, so they're not going to be there, as I remember.
These are just rumors. A rumor says, who the fuck is this guy? Is he a YouTuber?
Hey guys, we got some courses.
Oh, no, I'm not gonna say the source, but this guy doesn't have a good track record.
Okay.
So who knows? But my thing is, if they have one, what are they going to show? Ragnarok that comes out fucking 2 months from now.
Oh my god!
You know?
Can I just point out, because I looked this up too, and I just think this is fucking meta or tragic or something. There are rumors. There are news stories about rumors about potential news in the form of advertisement.
Yes.
So, like, we have now news stories about rumors about a possible commercial. What the fuck happened?
This is what happens when you don't have any games.
This is, we're in such a drought. We're not even like, here's a rumor. It's, here's a rumor of a thing that might happen that's rumored.
Yep.
We might get a rumor tomorrow.
This is worse than Kojima's announcement of an announcement.
It's.
I have an announcement to make that there will be an announcement.
Hopefully, this is like the. I'm really hoping that we're just in the middle of the desert right now.
Yeah, I hope so, because this is bad.
I'm hoping that all those studios that Xbox bought are going to come to fruition, and we're just going to soon enter a second golden age of gaming.
It ain't happening this
year. The golden age of gaming is coming.
Today. It's just around the next bend, man.
Yeah,
sure.
Isn't that the plot? You know, the plight of being an Xbox fan or Xbox fan. Wait till next year. Honestly,
it's the plight of being. You think you kind of game the system by getting both consoles. Turns out the system wins by releasing nothing for either of them.
Right? Oh man, it's abysmal right now.
Glad I got my Steam Deck.
You know?
I'm glad. Steam Deck. That's where I'm at. Like, if I have all the things, if you want to know where my allegiance lies, fucking Steam Deck.
You know what I'm glad I got? PlayStation Vita. Yeah, that's what I'm glad I have.
You're making you play some Turtles on it, though?
You can't play no Turtles, but I got the Platinum in Turtles and in Gravity Rush.
Good stuff. All right, and the last question of the night. Who is this? Bort? Who is this guy?
Is this the first time he's asked anything?
No, he's asked himself, but I have a feeling he has a lot of wonderful tattoos. And maybe
sounds like a reclusive weirdo.
Yes. His question is, what is the future of AI in video games? We may or may not have been talking about this before the show.
What a coinky.
What is the current state of AI in video games? We should probably start with that. You know.
Well, I talked to him just a minute ago, just in the other room.
Oh shit!
And the kind of direction of the question is, we're seeing a lot of news about AI, like DALL-E and stuff like that. AI being creative, and right now we just have AI as like, here's how shooting mechanics work. So, what do you think the future of like DALL-E and creative AI is in video games?
All right, for the uninitiated, DALL-E, I'm thinking about the clone sheep.
Oh, DALL-E is it's an AI network that is able to paint, and you can actually go to DALL-E Mini and you type in a text example of what you want, and it generates imagery. So you can tell, I want a watercolor painting of a pink cat wearing a sombrero, and it will generate it for you in a disturbingly good and efficient manner. It threatens, it's not there yet, but by the time Manny and I are retiring, we're not going to be handing off the future of art to another generation. We're handing it off to computers.
I was having a conversation with a friend about this, how we fear that there are going to be AI news reporters.
Dude, I'm telling you. And you can go and, like, if you haven't fucked around with DALL-E Mini, I highly recommend
AI
it.
reviewers.
So, yeah. We're at the point where one Google engineer even said that... wrongly, that their AI is becoming sentient. So like
that guy.
I've seen a fucking weird ad on like a mobile phone. Like they're now selling AI companions as apps on the phones.
Sounds like
Siri?
bullshit.
No, like AI, like they generate a face, and it's like a really advanced chatbot with a face animation that understands you, and like it's a companion AI.
Milo?
Yeah. It's super weird seeming, but I'm seeing it percolate up in really weird places as the technology becomes more common. So,
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard about that happening in games specifically, but what we were talking about before the show, like Manny and I are kind of in the same boat here. We think the reason we don't see super advanced AI in games is because they know it may get too frustrating for the majority of people. They want to keep it simple. Think about it like this, right? You had a game, Fear, right? That was lauded for its great AI. That was like 15 years ago. I don't think and it's also the fact of like resources, like you need to put a lot of resources and you may get diminishing returns and all that. So there's a lot of factors. I don't think the technology is beyond us. I think the will isn't there. It's kind of like going to fucking like Mars. We could have been in Mars fucking 30 years ago, but the will wasn't there. We had the technology. So I think it's really more of that. The will isn't really there to do it.
I think it's half and half. I think the will, and I also think that people, when it comes to games, the more and more life is hard.
Yeah.
And especially if you're expecting people to have fun at a game, people get pretty pissed off when the game starts to get cheap. Let's say it's because the AI for the game is so good that it literally just pisses you off from playing the game.
Yeah.
So there's a gentle balance of fun factor with that idea.
Doesn't it require more?
Because you don't want to frustrate people out of playing a game. In fact, people these days are so pissed off about like how hard a game is. They want to make them easier.
But here's the thing: AI doesn't make games harder. Like the game itself knows when you press a button and it reacts. Like that's not AI. That's just basic reactive script running. What we call AI in video games isn't really.
Well,
there's
differing levels.
It is
actually, I know. But here's my point.
Brian's an engineer.
You could make a more complicated. You could make an AI that's smart enough to be stupid and make mistakes.
Brian, go on.
Okay, Brett. It is actually AI that's is most games, but it's not the AI that you expect it to be. Again, it's mostly lots of the systems behind the scenes. Again, good examples is, I'm going to bring it up because I love this game, Dragon's Dogma. It has a decent AI systems in that you can tell your companions what to do, they'll try and do it. They even remember as well. So based on how many encounters you have with different types of enemies, it actually will remember their weakness. And not only will it tell you that, hey, this is actually the weakness of this type of enemy, but then also it'll try and make sure to exploit the weaknesses if they can. So let's say, for example, you have like goblins. I think they're weak to fire. So hence, if you have a AI companion that can imbue your weapons with fire, they will do that first thing because they know, okay, this thing's weak to fire, and you can do that. The other really cool thing that I love, that it's such a small thing, but it's amazing, is in Dragon's Dogma, you can hire other people's companions. So let's say, for example, I've gone through the game, I've completed the game, and then Brett, you later on, you start the game again, and then you hire my companion. Because I've gone through the game, my companion now knows about the missions, and they will help you through the mission in that they'll lead you to where the areas are to like get a quest marker or something. So that way, like, my AI has learned off our adventure and is now telling you in your adventure, like, hey, go. We should go this way. We should ask this person. We need to go talk to that person.
Don't they also exhibit the kind of combat behavior you've demonstrated in terms of like aggressive or supportive or stuff like that? Like they act a certain way. Is that true?
It is, but only for your companion. So you can tell your companion to be very aggressive, to be like attack the biggest enemy on the field, or sit back and heal me. But then that's only for your guy. When you hire other people's AIs, I'm not too sure how the system deals with that. I don't know if it just imports their set of profiles into your game, or does it just give it like a default one? I don't know yet. I haven't gone that far into it.
I mean, that's pretty cool. My only point was like, when we're talking about AI getting better, we're not talking about the AI of enemies getting more proficient at shooting you. That can be done with button reading, meaning that the game just, the enemies behind the crate know when you press the fire button and they duck, right? Like, better AI doesn't mean more difficult enemies. Better AI could mean that, like, you can fool an NPC the way you would fool a human being, instead of them just kind of like like when something's searching for you, right? Every time in video games right now, there's that little cone of view in front of you, and they just kind of patrol. And if you get in their cone of view, they react, and a little meter fills up. And if they see you long enough, they know where you went. They go to the last place that you were seen, but they don't think it through. They don't think where you could be entering or exiting from. They don't think at all. They just kind of do go to the last place that you were. And as a gamer, you can really exploit the fuck out of that stuff. Like we all do. It's become part of the game itself.
But don't you think the reason why they do those make those things the way they are is because they essentially want to give you the chance to be able to not be seen? I don't think it's a matter of making these things them smarter. I think we run the risk of when you do make something smarter, that you run the risk of essentially making the game unplayable. And I think ultimately, as a person who wants to make a game, you want your game to be played. You don't want people to be so frustrated they stop.
But again, it doesn't have to be that. You can program it to make mistakes. That is also part of AI. Right now, like, look at it this way. Right now, AI is not smart enough to fake out. Right? If you zig one way and then dodge the other way, AI isn't smart enough to think, oh, I'm going to keep shooting the way that he was going because I was assuming he was going to shoot that way. It just automatically tracks you. It's again, like, you can make AI better and have it make enemies dumber, but in more realistic ways. Like, you can fool enemies in different ways. You can,
I think also another part of gaming is patterns. Essentially, obviously you have recognizable patterns that, like especially in the Metal Gear game, the enemies are fairly smart, but they also have recognizable patterns of things that you can recognize that they do over and over again. When you do have an AI that is more of a reactive sort of AI, you lose the ability to see patterns in the fashions of the way they work. So again, I think a lot of times we're not dealing with not just games that are not being smart. It's the fact that they could make them smarter, but would people want to play it? If a Bloodborne game did, or a Demon Souls game didn't stick to the patterns of what those characters, those things, would these things even be? Would you even be able to essentially battle them?
Okay, but here's the thing.
That's why PvP works so well, is because
that's the wrong AI. Like that's the point that I'm trying to get at. Like, I was told by board that the question isn't for battle mechanics.
Oh.
The question isn't for like, if we're going to do a better AI so they provide a more difficult shooting experience. So that's not.
So Bort wants to know about essentially feedback, and a lot of times feedback is not actually AI.
No, Bort wants to know about the idea of implanting true AI into games, either in terms of like creative things like DALL-E is doing, where it procedurally generates in a smarter way, conversation with text, things that will creative AI help build parts of games.
I mean,
will it be part of game? Like, the way that I see it, the way that I personally see it is, in 50 years, your console will have an AI in it. It'll be your personal assistant. It'll be a thing that learns your likes and dislikes, and it'll kind of slip into the AI of your video games to slowly adjust the game to be more enjoyable to the preferences that you've shown before.
There's already something that does that, and they call it what does the Capcom call it? The digital director, where there is an AI within the Resident Evil games, even going back to, I think, stuff like Resident Evil 2, where it would adjust the game to the way you play. If you die...
4 did that.
Was that 4 did it?
Yeah, it was 4. Yeah, and it's funny, we learned that after the fact. Years later, we learned about that.
Yeah. So, like, in other words, as you die more, it essentially lessens the amount of things. Or if they notice that you're having a much easier time, they'll throw more enemies at you. But there's also ways to gain that system too.
So with the ability for AI like to be creative that we're seeing now, like, will we see enemy designs designed by an AI?
I wouldn't say it's being creative.
What's that?
That is not the AIs that make art are not creative.
Okay, well, their ability to create, not be creative, their ability to create. Like, we can create a picture of Big Bird smoking a joint through AI. Does that mean that we'll be able to have, like, quests that are, were procedurally generated content be any different? Will it be able to make its own quests or create its own characters as needed? Because if you really think about, like, a truly proficient AI with video games, you could almost treat it like a game of D&D.
Well, I mean, then you get what's his face, the Moriarty situation from Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's like essentially they told them to make a villain that would be able to thwart Commander Data, and it became the idea that, oh no, it essentially, in order to thwart Commander Data, you had to literally give it access to everything.
I mean, with cloud gaming, I can see that being a thing that they pipe in, because I know it takes a lot of processing power. But I would like to see kind of an onboard processor dedicated strictly to, AI assistance mode, like something that replaces your Alexa with a better version, but also helps the game.
Brett, I'm gonna break your heart real quick.
Uh-oh.
If there's someone that's gonna make good AI, it's not gonna be from a game development standpoint. Like at least the AI that you're looking for, it's the Elon Musks, it's the Googles, it's the Microsofts. Those are the people working with AI that's like really significant and making the strides that it takes to progress the medium forward.
Oh yeah, because it takes a whole room of computers right now, but it won't always be that way.
Sure, but what I'm saying, it's the AI is not only the computers, but it's also the algorithm that it's using.
Yes.
And when it comes to video games, we get there's some games like Brian mentioned, the Dragon's Dogma stuff, which sounds pretty impressive, but that's only impressive relative to what we've seen with AI in video games in the past. But video game makers are not going to be making top-notch AI anytime soon, because there's no financial incentive to do that.
No, but other people could make it and they could use it.
Well, it depends, but other people are trying to make
AI is going to become a thing. We're already seeing they're using it in protein sequencing, protein folding, and now, like I said, the scariest thing to me is when, like, okay, it's making paintings now. I feel like that's getting in on my turf. A little scary.
But protein sequencing, I don't think that's AI. That's just, doing hard equations and using as much processing power to process hard equations.
They said it was AI, so
it's a brute force. It's a brute force nature to solve problems. The thing with AI, the Tesla is sort of one of the forefront, companies with AI, because they're trying to do full self-driving. If somehow they can make their product and portable into a video game or a machine that processes a video game, like an Xbox or a PlayStation or a PC, then I feel like that's when we'll see that giant leap. But I think currently we're only going to get small increments, like really small increments to the stuff that we have now, because like I mentioned earlier, there's just no financial incentive to get AI, because just the R&D that it would take to create it.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this.
Irregardless to the hardware that we have available to use it, and absolutely. That's going to be hard.
Let me ask you this: when you say that's when the big leap will come, that's kind of the question. What big leap will that be?
I don't know. I can't really say, to be honest, because the AI is one of the hardest problems that humans are trying to solve right now, and I guess I'm not that qualified to even know what the extent of that would even look like.
I'm guessing the first thing we'll get is sophisticated chatbot, so NPCs talk to you like a real person, and here's the thing. You know how much money you would save if you didn't have to have writers writing all the dialogue for every fucking side character? You know what you would save? Voice acting too, exactly. Like, if you could make all that stuff procedurally generated by an AI chatbot, so it just felt like all the NPCs were talking to you, I think that you would immediately save so much money on production.
Wait,
And as that
how do you get voice acting then? Like,
dude, we already have the ability to generate super realistic voice.
Okay, yeah. Let me rephrase that. How do you get it without it sounding like "hello"?
Have you heard some of the shit that they do recently?
Yeah, it still sounds like a fucking robot. You know,
it's getting real close.
It sounds like a robot. You know.
You've even seen examples of this in the Mandalorian. They used it in the new Obi-Wan series. They used it.
Yeah,
that wasn't
shit,
that.
You know,
yeah, but they didn't sound robotic.
Like
yeah, you could still tell though. You know, it's not like Stephen Hawking obvious, but you can still tell. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing: it's getting harder to tell, and on this trajectory, eventually, it'll be really hard to tell.
You get the robocalls. The robocalls sound like real people now.
No, they don't. They still sound fake.
Oh, no. To the you can look them up. You can look them up on YouTube. You can hear some of the calls that people are getting, and then they'll ask, "Is this a real person?"
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure it'll fool a lot of people, but I could just tell. It's like, well, something's off about this person. You know?
Are you saying that they'll never be able to generate?
I'm not saying. I'm saying right now.
I'm not saying right now. We're talking about the future. That's
who knows?
Point.
I don't know. You know me. I don't like to speculate that far forward. You know, so who knows? You know.
And just a quick thing about the dialogue. I don't know how well that can be used because, you know, dialogue at the end of the day is used in video games. It's used for story purposes.
I mean, sidetrack. Like, you could just talk to the person on the bus. Hey, how's the weather? Blah blah blah. You know, it's. I'm thinking like when you play like Skyrim or something like that, you can talk to fucking everybody. Like that's the whole point of that game is to be immersive. You can talk to everybody. Not everybody has something important to say, but you run through a dialogue tree of 3 mundane things, and it kind of breaks immersion. Like you throw an AI chat, and unless you talk it in circles, which I'm sure you could do to break it, it'd be significantly better.
Yeah, I mean that'd be an interesting feature, but I don't know if that'd be leaps and bounds something to.
Yeah, because I don't think that would work. Because like you know you need to have a person with right inflections and like you know the way you deliver a certain line. You know it could have like you know what I'm saying. I don't think AI could ever replicate that.
Tony, look up Dolly Mini. The shit that they can do now is fucking insane. Google has an AI that it's not even.
But
like,
you know what I'm saying?
AI
You could have five people. You got 5 people deliver the same line completely different ways. I don't think an AI is going to be able to replicate that.
I just imagine they use that technology on Dark Souls 10, and then someone's like, "I'm walking over here."
Yep. Tony, I will send you some links that will shock you.
All right, go ahead.
Like the ability to generate voice, like that's not even hard, man. Google has
convincing.
I'm telling you, convincing. What do you think I don't understand about this concept?
Because you're saying, oh, we could make voice. I'm like, I don't think it's that simple, dude. You know, how do you make it actually sound like an actual person?
Okay, when you have an AI that is sophisticated enough for gene sequencing, focusing on tiny voice inflections, it can build some really astounding stuff. The problem that we're having right now is that most of this stuff takes a room to process and generate. We don't have access to the real Dolly. We have an abbreviated, smaller version that can still make crazy pictures because they're using the real one for research. And the thing is, they're even getting beyond, like, AI used to be built to do a task. Now they are building self-learning AI that can learn to do a variety of tasks. It can be built to do one thing and then just learn to do a whole different thing.
And you think we're going to see this in video games?
Possibly. I mean, look, they put 2 AI in a room and they made their own language. The shit that this stuff will do is absolutely insane. And I think that if they would put that in video games, as I'm walking around Cyberpunk, Night City wouldn't feel so fucking dead. And if I ran out of gigs, it would be able to randomly generate them for me, along with short stories that are fully voiced and written along a certain algorithm. It's like, I don't know, I got stolen, go get it back. It wouldn't be a huge improvement, but at least it would be a thing like they wouldn't have to design all of these small things. So much of this game could just be automated.
Yeah, that idea disturbs me. I don't like that. That bothers me. As a writer, that bothers the fuck out of me.
Dude, I'm telling you,
Put me out of
when
my
they came out
job,
with the
you know?
when they came out with the painting, I was like, well, I'm fucked. Because, like, you know how many times people are like, I want Ash from Evil Dead eating buttered toast. Like, okay, that's a commission. Not anymore. Dolly just painted it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just imagine, like, in the future, some fucking executive just hits a button and the game's just automatically made. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that way.
No, you'll always have to give it parameters, but there will be a day where you can automate a lot of work off to an AI and procedurally generate content and then act as more of a curator than a content creator.
Well, I mean, a lot of environments are built like that for a lot of games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just a natural evolution.
Obviously, they have the whole environment is generated, but then they will have section. I mean, they even said that the new what's that game that's coming out by Bethesda? Starfield. A lot of their planets are sort of like that, where they're sort of AI generated, and then they have curated sections of them.
Yeah, and that's I see a progression of that to the point where, like I said, you could be walking through Night City in Cyberpunk, bump into a guy, have a mild conversation with him, and the real basic guy goes like, okay, well, you're talking with this guy. I don't know, maybe he's having problems with his girlfriend. And so you ask about his girlfriend. The game's like, okay, well, she fucking lost a bracelet. I'm trying to get it back. Hey, can you help with that? And it just kind of randomly spawns a mission for you. And you don't need somebody to sit down and write it or voice it or act it or anything like that. It just kind of builds itself. So you can have very small teams on smaller budgets doing much bigger things. I mean, realistically, if we're talking about Starfield without procedural generation, without AI, there would have been no way they could have built a game this scale. So we're already seeing the effects of it in the gaming industry.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Again, going back to stuff that I play, because I love to talk about it. Elite Dangerous. If I remember correctly, they tried to map the entire galaxy of the Milky Way, but obviously they can only map, I think it's the nearest 500 or 50 million planets to us, and then everything else is just generated based on scientific data. So hence, a slice of the game is like actually mapped, and then the rest is just kind of like, hey, this is what we think is out there. And then even like the planets that you land on, they are generated themselves by procedural generation, because obviously you can't realistically like go out and do however many billions of planets. It's just not
that
possible.
Much work.
Yeah, even just saying it is just kind of like, that's a lot of damn planets out there. So yeah, so we're already seeing it in bits and pieces. Even in Zero Dawn, I actually was going through and reading about the generation system, which is pretty cool. They actually have a system that will generate certain types of plants based on the proximity it is from the path. So that way they don't put the wrong type of plants in the wrong types of places. Like you would not expect a massive tree in like the middle of a worn path, because that's not how trees should be. But you may expect like some shrubs on the side of the path, and then larger trees the further out from the path you go. So that's the type of system that they were using. So it's already, again, in bits and pieces. And I can understand what Brett's saying. Like, yeah, that would definitely be awesome. I mean, how many times have you gone through like GTA or something and then heard the NPCs just try to have a conversation, and it just feels weird? They'll say like 2 words and then they'll walk away from each other.
How are you? I'm doing good. That's great. They walk off.
That's it. They just walk off and then they just call it quits, So I can definitely understand what Brett's saying, and it would definitely be nice. I just don't think it's feasible, purely because there are other techniques that are easier to implement, faster to achieve, and easier to debug. So from those points, I think people won't do it, which is a shame, because I would love to have a game where people can just interact with each other and talk about things, and actually feels like an actual living world where there are people.
You mean the metaverse?
No, not real people. I don't want real people. I want it to just feel like real people.
Oh dear God! Sorry, I'm just playing Saints Row right now, and there's only 2 people, and I'm in the middle of a crossroads.
Yep, that you're not in a car, right?
No, I'm just standing there,
Yeah,
and there's
that's
only
what,
just 2 people,
yeah,
and that's it.
that game. Anyway,
Jesus Christ.
we've been going on long enough. Let's start wrapping up. Do we have anything to plug around here?
Nope, not really.
All right, Adam.
Yes. Oh, Adam,
Who wants to go first?
you want to do it? You want to do it, or you want me to do it?
You could do it. You could do it.
We are doing I Am Negan, which is a podcast from The Walking Dead. We are currently talking about Tales of the Walking Dead, which is in its final episode. You know, we talked about the last episode, which was the penultimate. It's already on YouTube on thecoalition.com. That's the Coalition with a K. Or I Am Negan on all your podcasting apps or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's a what are we to like 2 weeks or 3 weeks away from Walking Dead proper? So hopefully, you know, Tales of the Walking Dead.
And we got episode 6. Well, we'll have that one up hopefully sometime this week, and that'll be the last one because it's only 6 parts for Tales of the Walking Dead. Thankfully.
Yeah, it's Adam is hosting the show. Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. is co-host, and you can find me also there talking about, you know, Tales of the Walking Dead. Unfortunately, but fortunately, the proper show is going to come soon. So be sure to stay tuned for both. And yeah, I am Negan.
Yay. All right. Throwdown is done. Thank all you guys for hanging out with us tonight, as always. You could follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join the Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always plentiful. They never end. We are on every podcast app. Just search for Throwdown Show. We are also now on Samsung Podcast.
Oh ho ho!
Which I just learned was a thing today. So I was like, oh, throw down on that shit.
Let's get Throwdown on there.
Yeah, so we are on Samsung Podcast, so go check us out. But anywhere you want to listen to us, Apple, Spotify, Google, all the big ones and the little ones, and, you know, all that good jazz. We're there. The big-ins, small-ins, and in-between-ins. Remember that from Married with Children?
Yes.
In-between-ins. Throwdownshow.com to listen to previous episodes. And if you have been watching us on YouTube and enjoyed the content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when new episodes or premieres go live. And apologies for the weird time sync of the other one. It's still processing 3 days later. Can you believe that shit?
YouTube,
man. Fucking YouTube. This is why we went to Twitch. You know, fuck that shit. Anyway, links to everything down below. Once again, I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Adam Vale.
Have a good week, people.
Brett Murdoch.
Deuces.
And Brian Manjoma.
E.G. Liz, thank you for the 2 bank holidays this year.
Oh, man. And again, Brian, my condolences to you and your people. Oh, man. Also, congratulations on the new king. You have a king now, Brian. Ain't that something?
He's thrilled
to be king.
You know? Oh, man.
Yeah, that's what he was singing years ago. I can't wait to be king.
Somebody posted a picture of, like, Simba and shit. Like, this is how it started. Then they showed this ancient fucking line. This is how it is now. It's like, damn, son. Brutal. Anyway.
Yeah, he does seem, for some reason, he seems like Queen Elizabeth's age right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It was not kind to him.
If he's like his mother and father, he's probably going to be living for another 20 years, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So he's
I mean, at the looks of him, he'll have a long and plentiful 4-year reign.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then again, you see his father, that guy looked like a walking corpse, and he was still...
His father was like, was
90s,
100... He was 100 years old or something like that when he
old.
died.
Jesus.
99.
Yeah, so this guy's probably going to live for another, 20, 30 years.
Wait.
That's the crazy thing. Okay, so
Are you
the
saying
crazy...
it's good genes?
Yes.
I don't know.
But ironically enough, with these fucking inbred people. But anyway, go on.
Well, they weren't inbred. He was from Greek. He was from the Greek royal family.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay,
His
Yeah.
grandfather was the king of Greece. Yeah.
okay, cool. So yeah, shout out to King Charles III. All right, people, we'll see.
And
What's up?
well, hold on. Here's a really cool fun fact. During the procession, it actually was the first time it was ever televised in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
Yes, because
Because TV was probably not invented when she was in the procession.
Wow.
Wait,
That's how old
Right.
she is.
Aren't you not allowed to be funny for 12 days or something?
He's on an American
morning,
podcast. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
morning for 10 days.
Yeah,
but
morning for 10 days,
But yeah, I don't know her. Like, I still
I don't
owe
know that
her,
bitch.
That's why.
We had no football. That's all I know. My calendar went blank. I'm like, been a lie.
I don't know her.
She never went to my birthday party.
You know?
Did you invite her?
That's a good question.
Of course I did.
It's the queen. Anyway.
You always invite the queen.
Yeah.
He sent it through the Royal Mail.
You know? Oh, shit. All right, people. We'll see you on Thursday. Peace out.
Laters.
There's this